The year is 3204 in the northern divine region's Baidi city. Dark clouds loom overhead, and thunder rumbles across the sky. Amidst the chaos, a lone figure floats in midair, surrounded by crackling lightning. This man is our protagonist, Subai. He stands in the heart of the storm, enduring the divine thunder in hopes of ascending to immortality and entering the land of immortals. Unbeknownst to Subai, danger approaches. A female cultivator, standing upon a lotus flower, prepares a powerful divine thunder technique. With her sword raised, she launches a strike aimed directly at Subai. At the last moment, Subai manages to dodge. Though he avoids a fatal blow, the attack injures him, and he plummets to the ground. The woman descends and points her sword at him, demanding his surrender. She is Lin Wankyu, one of Subai's own disciples. Subai, shocked and furious, can't believe that his loyal disciple would betray him. Outraged, he prepares a lethal counterattack, but before he can strike, another disciple, Bai Yuyu, launches a sneak attack from behind, piercing a hole through Subai's chest. Bai Yuyu then turns to Lin Wankyu and insists that, despite their master's many sins, they should at least let him die with some dignity. Subai, gravely wounded, can only laugh at the betrayal. He had never treated his disciples unfairly. How could they do this to him? Enraged, he vows that he will not die alone. If he goes down, he will take them with him. Just as he is about to unleash another technique, a third disciple named Xuer activates the falling treasure copper coin, slamming Subai into the ground. He lies there, immobilized, stunned that even Xuer would side against him. Two other disciples, the eldest and the fifth, are missing, and Subai wonders about their absence. Xuer commands her master not to resist, blaming him for countless crimes that cannot be forgiven, and warning him not to blame anyone else for his fate. Hearing this, Subai only laughs and asks if they truly believe the false charges against him. But now that they have drawn their blades against him, he cannot forgive them. In desperation, Subai uses the divine soul's true body, law of heaven and earth technique, a self-destruction meant to drag his enemies into death with him. Realizing his intention too late, Lin Wankyu and the others rush to stop him. She frantically asks Bai Yuyu if their senior brother, Heisayo, has a backup plan, because the situation has spiraled beyond control. Regardless of their efforts, they fail to prevent the inevitable. Subai detonates his own soul's true body, obliterating himself, his disciples, and half of the continent in the cataclysmic blast. But that is not the end. When Subai next opens his eyes, he finds himself in a strange, unfamiliar place. As he tries to make sense of his surroundings, he hears frantic noises outside. Peering through a window, he sees a world overrun by a zombie apocalypse, with people fleeing for their lives as hordes of the undead roam the streets. Realizing he has been reborn, Subai's thoughts turn back to his traitorous disciples. Why would they betray him? What did they stand to gain? For now, those questions must wait. His priority is to train this new body to its peak, return to the world of immortal cultivation, and make his former disciples pay for what they did. He attempts to gather spiritual energy as he once did. His cultivation had been close to the immortal realm, so if he can just sense the ambient spirit power, he should be able to progress swiftly. Yet to his shock, he feels nothing. Thinking his body might be too weak, he looks outside again and realizes the truth. This world has no spiritual power at all. Furious, he could hardly believe it. How is this possible? Without spiritual power, there was no way for him to cultivate in this world. In fact, merely surviving here would already be extremely difficult. Just then, a man and a woman burst into the house, having barely escaped from the zombies outside. They looked terrified, as though they had nearly died. The yellow-haired boy immediately grabbed the woman. Another person, possibly named Vertical, tried to stop him, warning that her boyfriend might still be in the house, and that it would be bad if they were seen. The yellow-haired boy scoffed, telling her not to worry. Even if her boyfriend saw them, there was nothing he could do. As he removed his clothes, the woman suddenly noticed a bite mark on his arm, and asked how he got wounded. The boy shrugged it off, saying he might have been bitten by those crazed people on the street, and insisting it was nothing serious. They continued their business until, abruptly, the woman realized the boy had gone still. She asked him what was wrong, urging him to continue, but to her horror, he had turned into a zombie and attacked her. She struggled, barely managing to push him away. Meanwhile, Subai heard the commotion and wondered if someone else was in the house. Searching through the memories of his new body, he recalled that the woman was supposed to be his girlfriend, and the yellow-haired boy was her lover. Subai smiled bitterly, realizing that the original owner of this body had also been betrayed by those closest to him. Opening the door, Subai saw the now zombified boy lunging at the screaming woman. She noticed Subai and begged for help. He stared at her coldly, said nothing, and watched as the zombie tore into her flesh. Then, without a word, he closed the door behind him, thinking, serves her right. In a world with no spiritual power, Subai knew he had to find a way to survive. Otherwise, he might die here before ever returning to his original world. Sitting on the floor, he tried to retrieve something, anything, from his sea of consciousness that could save his life. Yet with his current cultivation level, advanced magic items like the 9 Changes Spirit Pellet were beyond reach. All he could do was rely on luck and hope for the best. Finally, he pulled out a low-level magic weapon, the 10,000 Souls banner. Subai was disappointed. How could he have ended up with such a low-level magic weapon? He had hoped to retrieve something that could truly save his life in this chaotic world. Just as his frustration peaked, a blue window suddenly appeared before him. System prompt. It has been detected that the host has obtained the magic weapon 10,000 Souls banner. The host is now bound to the 10,000 Souls banner system. Current system level 1. Capacity 10 souls. Upgrade requirement to level 2. Hunt down an elementary mutant. Curious, Subai wondered what sort of system this could be, especially attached to a mere low-level weapon like the 10,000 Souls banner. As far as he remembered, the banner's only function had been to collect souls. The system then explained that by using the 10,000 Souls banner, he could harvest the souls of the dead, convert their soul power into spiritual power, and feed it back to himself. The higher the banner's level, the stronger the souls it could collect, and thus the more spiritual power Subai would gain in return. There was a catch. Any person who had been dead for more than 5 minutes would have a soul that completely vanished, rendering it uncollectible. Subai smiled. So it really is possible to transform soul power into spiritual power. Even if this world lacked natural spiritual energy, he realized that, with zombies everywhere, there was no shortage of materials to harvest for cultivation. He remembered the girlfriend who had betrayed him and the yellow-haired boy, both now zombies, banging on the door. Subai opened it, and the 2 zombies lunged at him. He swiftly killed them with the 10,000 Souls banner, but to his surprise, they continued moving even after he attacked. At that moment, he activated the banner's true power, collecting their souls and converting them into spiritual energy. Subai was amazed to feel a breakthrough in his cultivation almost immediately. After absorbing their souls, he now had 2 controllable souls at his command, and his spiritual power had grown noticeably stronger. He couldn't help but smile. Despite its humble appearance, the 10,000 Souls banner had proven to be far more powerful than he ever imagined. Sometime later, outside, people were running in all directions, desperately searching for any safe place to hide. In the midst of this chaos, Subai was also looking for supplies. His body was still too weak. I can't do much cultivation in this condition, he thought. First, I need to find some supplies, then consider upgrading the 10,000 Souls banner. Suddenly, a group of zombies perched atop a nearby building heard the commotion below and leaped down into the fleeing crowd. Among them was a plump, blonde-haired woman who panicked upon seeing the zombies heading toward her. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she grabbed another woman from the crowd and threw her at the zombies, using the poor victim as a human shield. Subai happened to witness this horrifying act, and was shocked to recognize that the woman who'd been thrown to the zombies looked exactly like Lin Wangqiu, one of his disciples who had once betrayed him. Furious and confused about her presence here, he quickly summoned the 10,000 Souls banner and killed the zombies attacking her. Lin Wangqiu gasped with relief, grateful to be rescued. How did you end up here? Subai demanded, glaring at her. Not long ago you used the Divine Thunder technique on me, forcing me into a wretched state. Now you can't even protect yourself from a handful of low-level monsters. He could scarcely believe that his former disciple, who had once caused him so much trouble, was now so weak. Yet Lin Wangqiu only stared at him in bewilderment. She had no idea who he was or what he was talking about, and she couldn't understand how he already knew her name when, to her knowledge, they had never met. Standing up, she thanked Subai for saving her life and asked if they had met before. Incensed, Subai pointed his spear at her. Don't pretend to be crazy. You won't get away by feigning ignorance. Startled, Lin Wangqiu tried to calm him. This isn't the time for wild accusations. There are more monsters nearby. We should leave and find somewhere safe. Hearing her words, Subai hesitated. Did I get the wrong person? He wondered. Or is she simply not the Lin Wangqiu I once knew? Subai still found it difficult to believe that the woman before him wasn't the traitorous disciple he remembered. She looked identical to Lin Wangqiu, and he was sure he would never mistake her face. Unless, he thought, unless coming to this world caused her to lose her memories. As he moved closer, hoping to investigate, Su-bai's stomach growled. Lin Wangqiu smiled at the sound, and mentioned there was a large shopping mall not far away. She planned to gather supplies there and possibly take refuge. She invited Su-bai to join her, and although he hesitated briefly, he eventually agreed, if only to see for himself whether or not she was truly the same Lin Wangqiu. Gripping his hand, Lin Wangqiu urged him to hurry so they could stock up on supplies and wait for rescue. Su-bai followed her, still torn between suspicion and curiosity. Even if she really has lost her memories, he thought, her betrayal remains. Sooner or later, she'll pay for it. After half an hour, they reached the entrance of a Walmart supermarket. While standing at the front doors, Lin Wangqiu asked for Su-bai's name. Hearing this, Su-bai realized she truly seemed unaware of who he was. She wasn't faking her confusion at all. He refused to let his guard down. Stepping past her, he answered curtly, "Su-bai." Following a brief introduction, Lin Wangqiu invited him to head inside. She suggested they use the store's resources and wait for rescue. But to their surprise, the supermarket was already crawling with zombies, and not just ordinary ones. Among them was a mutated zombie that stood out. It kept mumbling phrases like, "Apply for a card, get 50% off," before slaughtering several normal zombies in its path. Then it charged straight at Su-bai. Su-bai smirked as he felt the creature's aura. It's probably at the initial stage of the spiritual sea realm, he realized. That must be an elementary mutant. Lin Wangqiu, terrified, hid behind him, urging him to retreat and find safety elsewhere. But Su-bai saw this as an opportunity, not a threat. A sacrifice that could help him upgrade his 10,000 souls banner to level 2. Summoning the banner, he commanded 2 zombie slaves he controlled to attack the mutant. The supermarket erupted into chaos as his zombies clashed with the others, killing them one by one. However, the mutated zombie soon noticed Su-bai's slaves and charged in to attack. Su-bai quickly ordered them to pull back, but the mutant was too quick and killed one of his zombie slaves. Seeing an opening, Su-bai launched a sneak attack from behind. At the same time, his remaining slave, a female zombie, leaped onto the mutant's back and bit into its neck. The mutated zombie roared in pain. Su-bai quickly ordered his slave zombie to slam it into the ground, knocking it unconscious. Then, he activated the 10,000 souls banner to absorb its soul, making it his newest slave. Right after absorbing the mutated zombie, a system window appeared before him. System prompt: "Congratulations on defeating an elementary zombie. The 10,000 souls banner has been upgraded to level 2. New capacity 5 additional souls. Next upgrade requirement: hunt down an advanced zombie, a foundation stage beast." Su-bai frowned at the new requirement. "My current cultivation is still at the spiritual sea realm. To defeat a foundation stage beast, I'll need to absorb more spiritual power first." Meanwhile, Lin Wangqiu was awestruck by Su-bai's display of strength. She had originally dismissed him as some crazed individual, never imagining he was this powerful. Watching her childish admiration, Su-bai found it hard to believe she could be the same disciple who had once betrayed him and nearly ended his life. With the mutated zombie defeated, the survivors who had been hiding in the supermarket cautiously emerged. Relieved that the threat was gone, they began redistributing supplies and preparing to wait for rescue in relative safety. There seemed to be enough resources to sustain them for a while. Lin Wangqiu turned to Su-bai, pointing out how large the stockpile of supplies was. "If we use this wisely, we can stay hidden in a safe place until the rescue team arrives," she suggested. However, the other survivors were not so welcoming. One man stepped forward, glaring at Lin Wangqiu and Su-bai. "This is our territory," he declared. "You can't just help yourselves to our supplies without our permission." Several others quickly agreed with him, insisting that they had risked their lives to gather everything during the chaos. They weren't about to let newcomers take advantage of their hard work. Lin Wangqiu bristled at their accusations and shouted back, "If Mr. Su-bai hadn't killed that mutated zombie, all of you would have been sitting ducks, waiting to die. Now you want to claim these supplies for yourselves and ignore the fact that he saved your lives." However, they didn't believe him. They said he was as thin as a bamboo pole. How could someone like that kill a monster? In their opinion, the monsters must have killed each other. Lin Wangqiu shouted, unable to believe how shameless those people were. Before she could say anything more, Su-bai stopped her and warned her not to argue with mindless people, reminding her that words alone wouldn't change anything. Lin Wangqiu looked at Su-bai and insisted that he was the one who had obviously defeated those monsters. She couldn't let anyone else take advantage of his hard work. Su-bai simply smiled and said, "Only the weak use such petty tricks. The strong are always right." He cast a cold gaze over the crowd and announced that he needed supplies, asking who was in favor and who was against it. They all opposed him, telling Subai there were many of them, and only one of him, so he couldn't win. They advised him to leave peacefully, hinting that if he angered them, they wouldn't be responsible for what might happen. Subai only smiled and said that if he couldn't get supplies peacefully, he would have no choice but to kill them. Once they were dead, all the supplies would be his. He summoned his mutated zombies and ordered them to attack. Terrified, the crowd begged Subai to spare them, promising he could take all the supplies he wanted as long as they could keep their lives. But he didn't care. He killed those who had threatened him. The rest fled in terror, trying to save themselves. Standing confidently, Subai asked if anyone else wanted to stop him. No one dared say a word. They stood silently, too afraid to even lift their heads. Then Subai turned to Lin Wangqiu and told her to take whatever she wanted. No one would dare oppose them now. She nodded and began collecting supplies. After stuffing her bag, she asked if Subai needed anything. He smiled and said that in return for saving her, all he wanted was help carrying some supplies. Secretly, he was testing her to see if she really had amnesia, or was only pretending. Lin Wangqiu agreed, packing his share of the supplies. Subai was confused. He didn't know if she really was his disciple Lin Wangqiu, or if he himself had lost his memory. After a few minutes, she finished packing and asked whether they should stay and wait for rescue or head elsewhere. Subai turned to leave, saying he planned to look for stronger zombies to hunt. All she needed to do was follow him with the supplies. Lin Wangqiu nodded and followed him. Once they were gone, everyone else breathed a sigh of relief. Even so, they couldn't believe Subai had dared to kill people so casually. They agreed to report him to the authorities if rescue ever came, insisting that someone like him should be brought to justice. But now that he was gone, they gathered around what remained of the supplies, dividing them up as quickly as possible before any other danger appeared. In the midst of their squabbling, oblivious to the threat looming behind them, Subai's 2 zombie servants crept up, ready to attack. Just then, one man in the crowd noticed the zombies and freaked out, running as fast as he could to save himself. Unfortunately, it was already too late. The zombies charged forward and took down everyone one by one. A blonde, overweight woman remained alive for a moment, terrified and pleading for help, but the zombies spotted her and crushed her head underfoot. Once the massacre ended, Subai gathered their souls and converted them into spiritual power. He knew leaving survivors would only cause him trouble in the future. Now that he could control 3 undead, Subai felt a bit safer. He was well aware that if he ever had to face more than 10 zombies at once, he'd have no choice but to retreat. Until his level rose, he would keep a low profile. Meanwhile, Lin Wangqiu, who had been following him, was exhausted. She asked if they could rest somewhere, but Subai told her he had no time to waste. If she slowed him down, he would leave her behind. Embarrassed, Lin Wangqiu insisted that she believed Mr. Subai would never abandon her. He smiled and asked why she was so sure, reminding her that they were strangers, and he could do as he pleased. Lin Wangqiu confidently replied that she knew the location of the powerful zombie he was looking for. Intrigued, Subai asked how she knew. Lin Wangqiu explained that, back at her university, she fled the campus after spotting a strange creature near the lake. It gave off an unusual scent, and she was certain it was dangerous. Nervously, she admitted she wasn't sure it was the advanced zombie Subai sought, but it certainly seemed formidable. Hearing this, Subai reasoned that if it was anything like the mutant beast in the supermarket, it was worth investigating. He told Lin Wangqiu to lead the way. Pleased that he believed her, Lin Wangqiu happily guided him toward the campus. Sometime later, the two of them finally reached their destination, but the campus was overrun with zombies. Lin Wangqiu stopped, scanning the surroundings anxiously. Seeing her hesitate, Subai asked why she had stopped yet again. Lin Wangqiu whispered for him to lower his voice. So many people at the school had turned into those creatures, and if they accidentally drew attention, they'd be in huge trouble. Subai told her not to worry, declaring he would handle the situation. He summoned his zombie servants and ordered them to clear a path. Lin Wangqiu, concerned, warned him they should do this quietly instead of being so reckless. But Subai ignored her protests, wondering what had happened to the world to turn so many humans into these half-human, half-ghost monsters. Suddenly, they heard noises behind them. Lin Wangqiu recognized the voices. It sounded like her classmates. They had ventured outside for supplies but were now trapped among the campus zombies. One of her classmates, terrified, hurled his weapon at a charging zombie, but missed. The zombie kept coming, yet another student arrived just in time and killed it. The student who saved him then grabbed the frightened boy, urging him to run back and regroup, because these monsters were way beyond their league. Lin Wangqiu realized these two were Gu Ming and Li Mingxuan, her classmates, though she couldn't fathom why they would be here of all places. Subai noticed her reaction and asked if she knew them. When Lin Wanqiu admitted they were her schoolmates, he turned to her and said, "Do you want me to save them or not?" Lin Wanqiu held Subai's hand and said, "While they're distracting the monsters, we can escape quickly. If the monsters spot us, we won't be able to leave." Subai then asked her, "Don't you want to save them? They're your classmates, aren't they?" Lin Wanqiu replied, "If I could help them, I would. But right now, I can't risk your life." Upon hearing this, Subai realized that if she had been the treacherous disciple from his past, she would never have said such a thing. She truly seemed to be just an ordinary girl. However, before they could leave, the very thing Lin Wanqiu feared happened. Her classmates noticed her and called out for help. Lin Wanqiu became furious. She couldn't believe that Li Mingxuan, one of her classmates, was desperately shouting amid so many zombies, potentially dragging them all down with him. All the noise quickly drew the zombies' attention. Panicking, Lin Wanqiu burst into tears and apologized to Subai for getting him involved. In response, Subai summoned his enslaved zombies to fight. Boasting that he had once slain the 9th demon lord of the underworld, he declared that these lowly undead were not worthy opponents. Although his summoned zombies managed to kill many of them, there were simply too many. Subai lost 2 of his contracted zombies, and his mutated zombie was also in trouble. He realized that dealing with 10 zombies at once was already his limit given his current strength. If they wanted to turn the tide and survive, he needed to lure some of the zombies away. He asked Lin Wanqiu if there was anything nearby that could produce a loud sound. Lin Wanqiu remembered her smartphone and handed it to Subai, who had never seen such a device before. He was baffled by the idea that a small box could make a loud noise. Instead of explaining, Lin Wanqiu simply turned on the phone's music. Subai was astonished by how loud the sound was coming from what he called a small metal box. Drawn by the blaring music, many of the zombies attacking the mutated zombie turned their attention towards Subai. Overjoyed by this new magical tool, he threw the smartphone to his mutated zombie slave. The mutated zombie caught the phone and started running, drawing most of the horde away. With so many zombies in pursuit of the mutated zombie, Subai and his remaining undead were free to dispatch the remaining threats one by one. Lin Wanqiu was amazed that such a simple trick had worked. However, Subai grabbed her hand and reminded her they had no time to celebrate. They needed to leave before more zombies arrived. Moments later, both of them managed to escape safely to the classroom building. Once they were out of danger, Lin Wanqiu thanked Subai again for saving her life. She admitted that without him, she would never have made it this far. Subai replied that it was no big deal. She had helped him locate an advanced zombie, and in return, he had saved her. Both of them benefited. Not long after, Lin Wanqiu's classmates also managed to escape safely, thanks to Subai's zombies having distracted and slain most of the undead. However, they quickly noticed that Lin Wanqiu was carrying a large bag of supplies. They were thrilled to see Lin Wanqiu return with so many supplies. With that amount, they believed they could wait for a rescue team to arrive. However, Lin Wanqiu scoffed and reminded everyone that these supplies were obtained by Mr. Subai, and she had no right to distribute them on his behalf. Li Mingxuan was furious. He told Lin Wanqiu that there was no point in distinguishing yours and his in a crisis like this. Other students also needed these supplies to survive. Another one of Lin Wanqiu's classmates, sensing the tense atmosphere, stepped in and suggested they all stop arguing and return to the classroom first. They could decide how to distribute the supplies once they were somewhere safer. Turning to Subai, he also invited him to join them, saying they should all stick together in times like these. Subai and Lin Wanqiu followed them back to the classroom. On the way, Lin Wanqiu apologized to Subai for the trouble, but assured him that she would not let anyone touch his share of the supplies. Subai told her not to worry. His only goal was to find the advanced zombie. Still, he asked how she could be certain these people would listen to her. She replied that there were many teachers among the survivors, so nobody would dare do anything extreme. Subai simply smiled and said they had better behave, or he couldn't guarantee their safety. Meanwhile, the bold student whispered to Li Mingxuan that he had seen the bag was full of food. With so many supplies, they could sustain themselves for at least a month until rescue arrived. Li Mingxuan nodded, but worried that Lin Wanqiu wouldn't agree. And then there was also the matter of Subai. Another student chimed in, saying that now they were back on their territory, Lin Wanqiu and Subai couldn't simply refuse. If they cooperated, they might receive something in return. If not, they would have to deal with them the hard way. Moments later, they arrived at the classroom door. Li Mingxuan called out to the teacher to open up, announcing they had brought supplies. The teacher, relieved to see them safe, invited everyone inside and asked for the supplies to be handed out. As Subai entered, he noticed that many survivors were present. They had managed to avoid the zombies so far, perhaps because the undead hadn't swarmed this area yet. The same bold student pressed Lin Wangqiu to distribute the supplies right away, complaining that they hadn't eaten anything for 3 days. Gritting her teeth in frustration, Lin Wangqiu said she would only give out half. Mr. Su Bai owned the other half, and they had no right to touch it. Li Mingxuan scoffed and asked why a single person needed so much food. He offered to buy Su Bai's share at 10 times the market price. Looking at Su Bai, he asked if he minded selling. Su Bai smiled and agreed. In that moment, Li Mingxuan tried to claim all of Lin Wangqiu's supplies, forgetting that Su Bai was no pushover. Su Bai promptly summoned his mutated zombie slave, ready to attack Li Mingxuan. Seeing the monster appear inside the classroom, everyone panicked and scrambled for safety. Only then did they realize the zombie seemed to be under Su Bai's control. Su Bai grabbed Li Mingxuan by the collar and snarled that, because of Li Mingxuan's earlier actions, he had lost 2 undead minions. Yet Li Mingxuan still dared to demand Su Bai's supplies. Li Mingxuan apologized profusely and begged for his life. Su Bai asked, "Should I kill you? Or should I take your soul to make up for my losses?" Terrified, Li Mingxuan pleaded with his classmates Zhang Hao and Gu Ming to intercede, since they were the ones who had come up with the plan in the first place. Zhang Hao and Gu Ming quickly denied any involvement, insisting it was all Li Mingxuan's idea, and that he alone should bear the blame. Li Mingxuan was shocked at the betrayal, cursing them for abandoning him. He turned to Lin Wangqiu, begging her to ask Su Bai to spare him. He promised he would never try to steal supplies again. Su Bai was curious how Lin Wangqiu would react. Surprisingly, she apologized on Li Mingxuan's behalf and asked Su Bai to forgive him just this once for everyone's sake. She said they could take her share of the supplies, but no one was to touch Su Bai's. Watching her selfless behavior, Su Bai realized that she truly might not be the treacherous disciple he once knew, despite her resemblance. Deciding he no longer needed to keep her close, he told Lin Wangqiu that, now that she had found her companions, it was time for him to leave and continue searching for the advanced zombie. But Lin Wangqiu stopped him, claiming that she knew where the creature he was seeking might be. When Su Bai asked if she had actually seen it, she said no, but she could sense a terrifying presence somewhere in the school. This startled Su Bai. Her ability to sense spiritual power suggested an innate spiritual physique. He was astonished because, to his knowledge, no one else in the world had such a physique except his lost disciple. Could she truly be that woman, suffering from memory loss, or was there some other explanation? In the original cultivation realm, before Su Bai was betrayed by his disciples, Lin Wangqiu approached him, requesting to become his disciple. In response, Su Bai told her that he would only accept her if she found something for him first. Lin Wangqiu successfully found what Su Bai had asked for, and returned, requesting again to be accepted as his disciple. When Su Bai asked how she managed to locate it, Lin Wangqiu respectfully bowed before him and replied, "I was born with the ability to track and trace. If you accept me as your disciple, I will be the sword in your hand. I will never let you down." Seeing her determination, Su Bai accepted her as his second disciple. With her innate spiritual physique, her future achievements would not fall short of his own. However, Lin Wangqiu humbly told him, "My life was saved by you. I would never dream of surpassing you. I only wish to serve by your side and ease your burdens." Su Bai walked up to her and said, "Stop calling me senior. Now that you're my disciple, you should call me master." That was the moment Su Bai learned that Lin Wangqiu possessed the innate spiritual physique. Although he wasn't sure how she had lost her past memories, for him, it didn't matter. He was still planning to kill her. He extended his hand to capture her soul and make her his servant, dooming her to eternal soul refinement. But suddenly, Lin Wangqiu grabbed Su Bai's hand and urgently warned, "That thing I've been sensing, it's really coming this way. We must leave now before it's too late." Hearing this, Su Bai fell silent. Then, in the next moment, he burst into laughter like a madman, shocking everyone in the room. He thought to himself, "I nearly killed her just now. But this is an innate spiritual physique, a one-of-a-kind rare body. Killing her outright would be such a waste. Rather than that, I'll treat her as a chess piece. Once she outlives her usefulness, I won't shortchange her. She'll have her own place inside the Soul Banner." Meanwhile, the mutated monster Lin Wangqiu had warned about approached the building. It had sensed Su Bai's spiritual energy and followed it here, to where Su Bai and the others were gathered. This mutated creature was intelligent, and it had recently been lucky enough to absorb a trace of spiritual energy to recharge its core. If not for that, it too would have eventually turned into one of those half-human, half-ghost abominations. When it detected the presence of spiritual energy in this barren world, it was thrilled. Finally, a chance to break through to the next realm. Standing in front of the university building, the mutated beast looked up, then leaped straight through the upper floor, crashing into the room where Subai and the others were. Seeing the creature, Subai thought, is this the powerful entity Lin Wanqiu mentioned? A mutated snake demon? But as he observed it more closely, something felt off. This mutated beast's aura, it felt familiar. The students in the room panicked, screaming and trying to escape, but to their horror, the door was locked. They couldn't get out. Lin Wanqiu pointed at the beast and exclaimed, "This is the same creature I saw by the man-made lake. It has the same aura I've been sensing all this time." Subai was surprised. This mutated snake demon, it actually possesses spiritual energy? This isn't some ordinary mutant. This is a demon beast from the cultivation realm. But then he wondered, why would such a creature appear in a place like this? The mutated snake demon sneered and spoke. Even though this world lacks spiritual energy and is crawling with ghostly pests, it's far more fun than that wretched cultivation realm. I can feast on humans freely here, without interference from those damned cultivators. It grabbed one of the students to devour. The terrified student cried for help. The teacher, Bai Ling, turned to Lin Wanqiu and begged her to ask Subai to save the students. If he can protect them, she will do anything he asks. Subai glanced at her coldly and said, "Whether I can or not is beside the point. What do their lives have to do with me?" Still desperate, the teacher pleaded, "I'll pay you a lot of money. Just save them." But Subai rejected her offer. "I'm not interested in money. Don't worry. Once you're all dead, I'll collect your souls." As the snake demon devoured the student, Subai ordered his mutated zombie to attack. The zombie leapt into the air and struck from behind, knocking the mutated snake demon to the ground. As the beast lay unconscious, the zombie jumped on top of it to finish it off. But suddenly, the snake demon's eyes flew open. It extended its tongue, wrapping it tightly around Subai's zombie. Staring at Subai, it said, "I knew it. My nose wasn't wrong. There really is spiritual energy here. Unbelievable. A cultivator in this world? Their strength may be weak, but it's enough." Just as it grew excited, Subai's zombie kicked its mouth, freeing itself from the demon's tongue grip. Subai smirked. "So the mutated snake demon is coming for me after sensing my spiritual energy? Doesn't matter. I'll just take it down." A monster in the foundation stage. In the past, this kind of trash wouldn't have been worthy of Subai's attention. But now, when his cultivation is only at the spiritual sea realm, he had to be more cautious. These people, killing them and refining their souls might just be enough for him to break through. Turning to them, he coldly announced, "Unfortunately, in my current condition, I can't handle that thing. You're all on your own. If you're willing to join my 10,000 souls banner and help me break through, there may be a sliver of hope." He smirked, saying, "Of course you can refuse. But if you do, I'll leave, and no one can stop me. What happens after that won't be my responsibility." Everyone sat frozen in silence, terrified. No one dared to speak. Seeing that no one was willing to sacrifice themselves, Subai turned to leave. Lin Wanqiu tried to stop him, but before she could, her teacher, Li, stepped forward and said, "I'll sacrifice myself. In exchange, please take my students to safety." At that moment, Subai noticed a glowing purple crystal hanging around teacher Li's neck. His eyes narrowed, realizing that, a spiritual stone. He grabbed the crystal and asked coldly, "Where did you get this?" Teacher Li hesitated for a second before replying that her father found it by chance, many years ago. Seeing Subai's obvious interest, Teacher Li handed him the stone and begged to, "Please, just protect her students." Inspecting it closely, Subai confirmed, "This is indeed a product of the immortal realm. The quality isn't low either. The spiritual power inside, it's on par with a top-grade spiritual stone." But what puzzled him was, how did something like this end up in this world? Could it be that his and Lin Wanqiu's rebirth here wasn't a coincidence? If that's true, then maybe his other disciples are here too. Just then, the system detected the spiritual stone and prompted, "Would you like to use this item to enhance the 10,000 souls banner? Doing so will increase your control level over undead by 1 tier." Subai was stunned. He didn't expect that this spiritual stones can directly upgrade the banner. He made a mental note that he need to collect more of these in the future. He accepted the item and agreed to Teacher Li's request, telling her to wait here and don't run. Meanwhile, the mutated snake demon, enraged after being attacked by Subai's mutated zombie, roared, "How dare you steal from me!" It charged straight at Subai, intending to kill and refine him to boost its own cultivation. But Subai had already begun absorbing the spiritual stone's energy. He commanded his zombie to block it and don't let it get close. The zombie charged in, but the mutated snake demon dodged easily. Grabbing the zombie, it slammed him into a nearby wall. Then it noticed something. Subai's aura. It was rapidly growing stronger. He was breaking through. The snake demon growled in panic. "If I don't stop him now, it'll be a problem later. But before that, I need to squash this bug. It punched Subai's zombie, sending him flying out of the building. Now, rid of the distraction, the demon laughed and charged toward Subai. But just as it approached, its entire body froze. A primal fear surged up, warning it. Danger, Subai smiled, his body glowing with spiritual light. My 10,000 souls banner needs a foundation beast for sacrifice, he said calmly. And that's you. The mutated snake demon was stunned. Ask what is happening. Suddenly, Subai's mutated zombie, now evolved from ordinary class to evolutionary class, returned. Towering over the snake demon, it grabbed the creature by the neck. Subai gave the command it to kill him. The zombie stabbed its sharp claws into the demon's chest, piercing clean through. Then it lifted the demon into the air and hurled it across the building. But just before falling, the mutated demon clung to the edge and caught itself. Breathing heavily, it realized that it underestimated Subai. It didn't expect him to break through mid-battle. Still, it wasn't ready to give up. He roared that, "It's not enough to defeat me," and with wild rage, it let out a piercing cry, summoning the nearby zombies to swarm in and help it kill these humans. Just then, Li Mingxuan transformed into a half-human, half-snake demon and killed both of his friends. The other students were shocked to see Li Mingxuan slaughter his fellow classmates. One of the students cried out, "Why would he do this?" Li Mingxuan smirked and replied with a chilling grin that he had tolerated all of them long enough. He smiled and asked that, "Doesn't it feel good to be betrayed?" He turned toward the remaining students and charged at them, intent on killing everyone. The students screamed and scattered, desperately trying to escape. Some even begged, "Li Mingxuan, please, let us go, spare our lives." But he didn't listen. He was enjoying the feeling of ruling over mere ants. Seeing this horrifying massacre, Teacher Li collapsed to the ground, her voice trembling. Why did it end up like this? Terrified, Lin Wangqiu turned to Subai and asked, "What happened to Li Mingxuan?" Subai simply smiled. He didn't expect to see a human willingly become a beast's servant, but this development suited him perfectly. The more that die, the better. It saves him the effort. They'll all become part of his 10,000 souls banner eventually. As Li Mingxuan prepared to kill the last student, Teacher Li stepped in and shouted, "Stop! I can't let you go on like this." Li Mingxuan grabbed her by the collar and hissed, "You want to die too? Fine. I'll grant your wish and kill you first." Just as he raised his claws, Subai intervened. He pulled Teacher Li back. Lin Wangqiu told her urgently, "There's no way to appease everyone in this situation. Right now, we need to survive. And the only one who can help us is Mr. Subai." Though Subai didn't care about the others, Teacher Li was a different matter. He needed her alive. If he wanted to find the source of the spiritual stone, she had to lead him there. Subai then unfurled his 10,000 souls banner and began absorbing the souls of all the dead students. Li Mingxuan was stunned. He had waited so long for his master to appear, and now nothing could stop him. He glared at Subai and charged at him, shouting, "You think you can do anything without your monster's protection?" Subai calmly smiled and summoned the very students Li Mingxuan had just killed. Their ghostly forms lunged at him, trying to drag him into the 10,000 souls banner. Li Mingxuan was confused. "How are they alive? I just killed them moments ago." Then he realized, they weren't alive. They were just wandering spirits, reanimated by Subai's power. "There's no time to waste on them," he growled. Meanwhile, the mutated snake demon watched Subai's 10,000 souls banner and scoffed, "You're planning to use that trash weapon on me? Do you think I'm made of mud?" Subai chuckled. "You have no idea who I am, and my 10,000 souls banner still needs a dead soul like you as sacrifice." At the same time, Li Mingxuan managed to partially free himself from the grasp of Subai's zombies and ran toward the mutated snake demon for help. The demon scowled. "Just my luck. I finally meet an immortal cultivator, and he turns out to be a demon cultivator? These puppets he controls are strange and dangerous. If I don't act quickly, I'm in trouble." Although he had already broken through to the Foundation realm, he knew that continuing the fight might end badly. At worst, I won't get any spiritual energy, and I'll die too. Desperate, he grabbed Li Mingxuan and growled, "I gave you power. Now it's time to repay me." Then he hurled Li Mingxuan toward Subai to buy himself some time to escape. But before he could flee, Subai gave the order to attack. His mutated zombie leapt high into the air and came crashing down onto the snake demon, slamming him into the ground. The zombie grabbed the demon and restrained him, locking down all movement. "You're not going anywhere." Just as the mutated snake demon struggled to break free, Subai made his move. He transformed several of his zombies into stone statue form, anchoring them into the demon's limbs, binding its hands and feet so tightly it couldn't move an inch. The demon let out a pained roar, its body shaking violently. Blood oozed from the cracks in its scaled flesh as it cried out in fury and humiliation. "I admit defeat. For today," it hissed, its voice trembling with suppressed rage. "But don't think this is enough to hold me forever." In a desperate move, the demon's main body detached from the larger snake host and fled into the distance like a dark shadow melting into the horizon. Li Mingxuan, who had just barely survived, watched the escape in panic. "Don't leave me behind. I haven't escaped yet." But before he could move, the remaining students, those who had narrowly survived his betrayal, surrounded him, cold hatred burning in their eyes. "Karma always comes back around," one muttered. "You really think you'll walk away after killing so many of us?" Fear flooded Li Mingxuan's eyes as he stumbled back. "Stay away. I'll kill you if you come any closer. I swear." But the crowd no longer feared him. They descended on him without mercy, fists and feet replacing words. Li Mingxuan died the same way he lived, violently and utterly alone. Nearby, Lin Wangqiu turned toward Subai, her voice filled with disbelief. "That monster. We're really just letting it go." Subai only smirked. "It's just a lowly snake demon. Does it really believe it can escape my spiritual sense?" Far away, the mutated snake demon, now free from its bindings, let out a long breath. It had narrowly escaped death, but one question clawed at his mind. Where did that demonic cultivator come from? Then a chilling realization crossed his thoughts. Could he too have been pulled into this world through the chaotic spatial rift? "Just like me," he scoffed. "Doesn't matter. I'm free now. A Foundation establishment cultivator like him, he'll never find me." But he was wrong. Before he could take another step, a shadow fell over him. Subai appeared directly behind him. "Try running again," he said coldly. "Let's see if you can escape my spiritual sense now." Terror flooded the snake demon's expression. His whole body trembled. He could not understand. How did he track me this fast? How strong is his spiritual sense? Subai didn't waste time. He ordered his mutated zombies forward. As the beast tried to flee, lunged in, grabbing the demon's legs and arms, pinning it down. The mutated zombie struck its vital point, sealing its core. The snake demon howled in agony, completely paralyzed. "If I can't live in peace, none of you will," the demon bellowed. He activated his final skill, Serpent Shadow Clone. Dozens of shadowy snake clones burst forth, swarming towards Subai. Laughing, the demon mocked, "Your soul banner is useless now. Once I devour you, your puppets will vanish." But Subai showed no concern. He raised his 10,000 souls banner, calmly scanned the illusions, and in a flash, stabbed the real body. The snake demon gasped. "How did you see through it?" "Not even nascent soul cultivators could." Subai's expression remained unchanged. "If you weren't still useful, I would have shattered your soul already." With that, he unleashed the soul-binding power of the banner. Black tendrils wrapped around the demon's very spirit. "You'll never get me," the demon roared. "I'll destroy my soul before I serve you." In a final act of defiance, it attempted to self-destruct its soul, but once again, it had underestimated Subai. With a single thought, Subai activated his spiritual sense manifestation. His soul form materialized in front of the demon, grabbing and stopping the detonation mid-explosion. The snake demon stared in horror. "That pressure. You're not Foundation establishment," his voice cracked. "Soul formation?" The truth hit him like a blade to the chest. He had offended a soul formation powerhouse. He dropped to his knees, pleading, "Don't kill me. I was wrong." But his pleas fell on deaf ears. The 10,000 souls banner absorbed his soul in its entirety. System notification. "Congratulations. You have slain an evolved level creature. Soul banner has leveled up to level 3. Max controllable souls. 10. New feature unlocked. Enhancement mode. You can now feed spiritual energy-infused objects to your undead souls to boost their strength." Subai stood silently, staring at the faint glow of the soul banner. He was amazed. He hadn't expected that spirit stones could be directly fed to the undead. If that was true, then as long as he had enough stones, he could rapidly forge a powerful undead army. In that case, he thought, gathering spirit stones must become a top priority. Once he gained enough strength to protect himself in this chaotic world, it would be time to visit his loyal little disciples. Meanwhile, back at the university, Teacher Li turned to Lin Wangqiu, her voice laced with concern. "Subai went after that monster. Isn't he in danger?" But Lin Wangqiu replied calmly, "Don't worry. Mr. Subai will be totally fine. A monster like that is no match for him." Teacher Li let out a quiet sigh of relief, but curiosity soon crept into her eyes. "You seem to trust him a lot. He doesn't appear to be a student here. How did you meet him?" Lin Wanqiu hesitated for a moment before speaking. When I ran out of the school during the chaos and was about to be attacked by monsters, he saved me. Her eyes flickered with a strange emotion. When I first met him, I felt something odd, a strange sense of familiarity, like I've seen him before. Just then, Subai returned. Lin Wanqiu ran toward him. Mr. Subai, are you hurt? He pushed her gently aside and replied coldly, a low-level demon like that? There's no way it could hurt me. Then he turned to Teacher Li. Do you know where to get more of those spirit stones? Teacher Li looked apologetic. That one belonged to my father. I don't really know where he found it. If you want answers, you'll have to ask him yourself. Subai narrowed his eyes. She hesitated again, then spoke cautiously. If you truly want to find him, we'll have to make another deal. The last time I spoke with him was 3 days ago. He was trapped somewhere, waiting for rescue. If you want that information, we'll have to find him first. Subai's face darkened. This woman, is she trying to use me to save her father? If the old man had knowledge about spirit stones, it would be worth the time. Fine, he said. I'll go with you, but listen carefully. If I find out you're lying to me, not only will you die, but everyone else will too, including your father. Teacher Li trembled under his gaze but nodded quickly. Understood. I'm sure my father won't disappoint you. She then turned to her surviving students. We're leaving with Mr. Subai. There was a wave of relief among them. They were leaving this nightmare. But not all were so lucky. Many students had died during the chaos. As Subai looked at their bodies, he raised his 10,000 souls banner and summoned their souls. One by one, gasps echoed through the group. The students stared in horror. Even Teacher Li's voice trembled as she asked, "Why are you taking their souls?" Subai turned to her, his expression unreadable. They were going to be wasted otherwise. Now, they reside in the soul banner, my personal puppets. He glanced toward the school gates. Enough talk. Let's go. I don't have time to waste here. Despite the grim nature of it all, Teacher Li bowed slightly. Mr. Subai, if it weren't for you, we'd still be trapped in that classroom. We would have starved, or been torn apart by monsters. Subai scoffed. I didn't do this for free. Everyone got what they needed. Now that he had broken through to the Foundation establishment stage, Subai could feel his divine consciousness gradually recovering. He should now be able to retrieve higher-tier artifacts sealed within his soul domain. Without hesitation, he focused, reaching inward, and suddenly, a brilliant sword appeared before him. Subai's eyes widened. Could it really be fate? Lin Wanqiu stared at the sword. Stunned, something stirred in her heart. I feel like I've seen that sword before. Subai turned to her, expression sharpening. Could this be a sign that her memories are returning? He narrowed his eyes. If this girl truly regains her memories, and realizes she's fallen into the hands of her former master, a lamb remembering her shepherd, just before the slaughter. He threw the sword onto the ground and looked at her. Hold on to it. Lin Wanqiu blinked in surprise. Me? What do I even do with a sword? Are you asking me to fight monsters? Subai nodded. I won't protect you forever. You need to learn to protect yourself. She hesitated. I've never used a sword before. You'll have to teach me later. As she nervously picked it up, her fingers brushed the blade, and flashes of memory surged through her mind. Moments long buried, of a distant mountain sect, her master Subai, and the day she was tested to become his disciple, the pain of betrayal, and the haunting image of a mysterious senior brother whispering lies to her and her senior sister, lies that turned them against their master. She staggered back slightly, clutching her head. The fragments were blurry, incomplete, but they were returning. At last, Lin Wanqiu finally saw her master's face, the very master she had betrayed, and he looked exactly like Subai. Seeing the angry gaze of her master, Lin Wanqiu got so frightened that she lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Seeing her suddenly fall, Teacher Li and the others were shocked, but before anyone could help her, Subai, realizing that Lin Wanqiu's memories had returned, immediately raised his soul banner and released his newly controlled snake beast to attack and kill her. Before Lin Wanqiu could even understand or say anything, the snake beast coiled its muscular body around her and began squeezing. Seeing Subai attacking Lin Wanqiu, Teacher Li and her students were too shocked. Teacher Li ran forward, begging Subai to stop, but Subai didn't even flinch. The snake beast continued tightening its grip, suffocating Lin Wanqiu slowly. Lin Wanqiu struggled and somehow managed to free her mouth. While coughing, she said, "Mr. Subai, your monster has gone insane. Please, help me quickly." Subai approached her and pinned down the soul banner right in front of Lin Wanqiu, scaring her. He sat down and asked, "Lin Wanqiu, do you remember now?" Scared and confused, Lin Wanqiu asked, "Remember what? What are you talking about?" Teacher Li pleaded with Subai to save Lin Wanqiu, saying she was a good child. Subai was also confused, not understanding what was going on. Lin Wanqiu's reaction just now didn't seem fake. and he wondered if it could really just be a mere restoration of her memories for a split moment. But he was not sure, so he decided to investigate it himself. He placed his hand on Lin Wangqiu's head and used Soul Search to look into her memories. He saw all of Lin Wangqiu's memories, himself included, but found nothing. He knew that memories couldn't be faked, and wondered if she really had not recalled her past. Both Lin Wangqiu and Teacher Li looked at Subai, scared and confused. After confirming for himself, Subai decided to let her live for now. He stood up, called back the snake beast, which released Lin Wangqiu and returned to the soul banner. Subai then walked away as if nothing had happened, telling Lin Wangqiu, "Maybe this sword doesn't fit you that well." He took back the sword and told everyone, "Don't waste time." Teacher Li then turned to her students and told them, "It's okay, hurry up and follow." But Lin Wangqiu felt something odd. She couldn't understand why she suddenly called Subai master, and what this sense of familiarity toward him was. Not just her, even Subai was very confused. Wondering if this was all God's will, he decided he would definitely investigate this matter. After walking for a few hours, Teacher Li led them all to a building. Pointing at it, she told Subai, "This is one of my family's properties, and my father last contacted me from here. But it looks like he wasn't able to evacuate because of those monsters." Looking at the building, Subai said, "If that's the case, let's go check it out." But a student of Teacher Li suggested that they should not go in, and would just wait here for Subai and the others to come out. Other students agreed, saying they might not be able to help Boss Subai if they went in. So, it's better to meet them here again. Subai said, "No problem," and told them, "Since I took you out of the school, my part of the deal has been fulfilled. Where you go now has nothing to do with me." Teacher Li looked at her 3 students who were scared, standing there. She told them, "Stay here and don't run around. When they come out, we will take you to the official shelter. It's safe there." The students told her not to worry, saying they would definitely stay put. After Teacher Li left with Subai and Lin Wangqiu, those students sighed with relief, saying, "We are free." A girl told the others that she didn't dare breathe deeply for fear that Subai would kill them if displeased. Others agreed, saying he was scarier than the monsters. A third person told them both to stop talking for now. They just had to stay quietly here to survive. Meanwhile, Subai, Lin Wangqiu, and Teacher Li approached the building's gate. But before they could enter, Lin Wangqiu sensed something and asked them to wait. She looked to the side and saw something approaching. She told Subai that something seemed to be coming their way, soldiers being chased by zombies. When those soldiers saw Subai and the others, they shouted, "Go away, this is not a place for you. Don't come close to the monsters. Return immediately." Seeing the soldiers shooting at zombies, Teacher Li told Subai that these people were likely the official rescue team and would know where her father was trapped. Hearing this, Subai decided to keep them alive. He raised his soul banner, summoned his zombies, and ordered them to clear the way. Seeing Subai's zombies, the soldiers misunderstood, thinking monsters were coming from behind to attack. They asked their captain what to do. The captain told his soldiers not to panic and ordered everyone to disperse and avoid getting caught by the monster wave. All the soldiers hid in the cracks between the buildings. After the soldiers got out of the way, Subai's zombies attacked the zombies coming from the front. The mutated zombie swung its sharp claws, slicing hundreds of zombies in one strike. The snake beast wasn't far behind. It opened its huge mouth and devoured the zombies. Seeing Subai's zombies attack the other zombies, the soldiers became confused. One soldier asked his captain why these monsters were fighting each other. Another said he had never seen such a strange thing during missions. Even their captain was confused, asking, "What's going on? What kind of fight is this?" Subai's monsters continued killing the zombies, making a path for Subai. Soldiers hiding behind walls were very confused. Their captain told them not to be careless and to evacuate now before the monsters noticed them, saying they would only be safe when the awakened were sent in. Hearing that, a soldier said, "I heard those people in the bureau praise them for being amazing, but are they really that great? We're all the same in the end. How can they be superior?" The captain told that soldier he said that because he hadn't seen their power. He said he once saw an S-level awakened, just one person, fighting against thousands of troops. Hearing about one man fighting thousands of troops, a soldier said, "That's too exaggerated. Are they superhumans?" Suddenly, a soldier saw Subai and the others walking toward the zombies. Confused, he asked, "Aren't those the survivors from before? Why aren't the monsters attacking them? It even looks like the monsters are escorting them." Seeing this unusual phenomenon, the soldiers immediately pointed their swords at Subai. The soldiers warned Subai to stand still and answer. Otherwise, they would open fire. But Subai didn't even look at them and continued walking ahead. Seeing this, the soldiers asked their captain if they should open fire. But after seeing Subai controlling the monsters, their captain lowered his gun and told his soldiers to forget it, because this person was not someone they could handle. The captain came out of hiding and asked Subai to wait. He introduced himself as Xiao Chongqing, the captain of the 3rd Search and Rescue Team of Z City, and asked Subai if they were the awakened sent by the higher-ups to assist them. Hearing that, Subai finally stopped and looked back, asking the captain what he meant by awakened. The captain replied that Subai was not the one he was referring to, and then tried to ask if Subai was the awakened. But before finishing his sentence, he stopped, thinking that since Subai was not a registered awakened from the bureau, could he be a lone wolf? That would be bad news. Then Teacher Li stepped forward and told the captain that they were here to find someone, her father, Li Zhenghao. Hearing the name, the captain told Teacher Li that Li Zhenghao was on their rescue list. They had been informed that he had important information, so the higher-ups required this person to be rescued. Hearing that, Subai asked the captain if he knew where Li Zhenghao was. The captain said yes, but told Subai that the place was in the heart of the region, and given the current situation, it would be hard for them to rush in there. Just as the captain said this, the walls on their side broke, and more zombies poured out. Because of this new zombie wave, they all got surrounded. Immediately, the soldiers started shooting at the zombies, but it was still not enough. Panicked, the captain turned to Subai, telling him that even if he was not affiliated with the government, they hoped he could lend them a helping hand. He added that it didn't matter if they all died, as long as they could send one person out to pass on the news from here, it would be fine. Subai agreed without hesitation, saying he would get them out of here, but they needed to lead him to the target in exchange. The captain agreed. Subai immediately called his monsters to attack the zombies. The mutated monster and snake monster jumped on the zombies, crushing them to the ground. Subai's mutated monster sliced off hundreds of zombies in one strike, while the snake monster shot fire from its mouth, burning thousands of zombies. The soldiers were shocked to see how strong Subai's monsters were. One soldier asked his captain if this was some kind of superpower, adding, "Isn't this too extreme?" Another asked if all awakened were like this, and if any one of them could destroy everything like this. He added that compared to Subai, what they had in their hands was just a fire stick. With a serious expression, the captain told his soldiers that not all awakened were that strong. This man right in front of them was definitely one of the best. Even among officially registered awakened, he had never seen someone capable of manipulating monsters for his benefit, so Subai's level must be at least C level. While Subai's monsters were fighting, Lin Wangqiu sensed something and told Subai to watch out, saying something was coming. She pointed above and told Subai that it was coming from the sky. Just as she said that, a huge monster jumped off a building, shouting, "Anyone who enters my territory without my permission will die." A huge night monster landed right in front of them. Seeing the huge night, the soldiers panicked and asked what kind of monster it was, because they hadn't been told about this level existing in this place. When Subai saw the night monster, he immediately recognized the aura of the perfect foundation realm. He hadn't expected a monster of this level to be lurking here. Moreover, it seemed different from the ordinary undead. The night monster pointed his mace at Subai and shouted, "My family, follow me to defeat the invaders." Hearing his voice, all the zombies in that area charged at Subai. Seeing them coming, Lin Wangqiu panicked and asked Subai what they should do now. Subai told everyone to get ready to fight. Even if it meant dying, they would fight the monsters. Subai was very excited to see the night monster, knowing that sure enough, this was a rare undead creature with intelligence. If he could capture its soul and send it into the 10,000 souls banner, there was a high probability that the souls of his subordinates would gain independent consciousness. Subai stepped forward with Lin Wangqiu and Teacher Li, and told the soldiers to step back, saying this night monster was his prey. Subai was confident that as long as he captured it, there was hope to create an army of undead with independent intelligence, which would greatly enhance his combat power. He then summoned his monsters and ordered them to attack. Subai's monsters charged at the night monster at super speed. The mutated monster jumped into the air and punched the night monster with full power, blocking its mace with its blackened fist. Taking this opportunity, the snake monster coiled its muscular body around the night monster's leg, making it unable to walk. The night monster looked down and saw that Subai was controlling the undead. Realizing that this human was very dangerous, the night monster became very angry. It released an energy blast from its body, sending all of Subai's monsters flying. The night monster raised its mace and, while gathering energy, shouted, "I'm the lord of the undead. How can a mere human stand against me?" Saying that, the night monster swung its long mace at Subai's monsters, aiming to kill them all in one strike. Seeing the night monster's power, Subai was a little surprised because it looked like the night monster had combat capabilities comparable to at least a Golden Core realm warrior. Now Subai began to wonder where this undead monster had come from. When that undead monster unleashed his full power, a guy was watching it from afar, standing on the rooftop of a building. Seeing Subai, that guy in glasses smiled, saying, "A sweet prey discovered. My lord will surely be pleased." He called his lord, and suddenly a dark figure appeared in the sky. That glasses guy told his lord that he had found a foundation-building cultivator who could control the dead. Hearing that, his lord ordered the glasses guy to kill and seize his body, saying the spiritual energy in his body was extremely valuable, and if he succeeded, he would be rewarded. Hearing that, the glasses guy laughed and told his lord, "Don't worry, because the Bone Fiend Lord is already hunting him down." On the other hand, that undead monster swung his huge sword to attack Subai. Seeing it coming, Teacher Li and Lin Wangyu got very scared. The soldiers standing behind started shooting at the undead monster, saying they would fight with everything they had. Lin Wangyu grabbed Subai's hand, saying that even if she died, she would stay by his side. Seeing the sword coming, Subai closed his eyes and sensed that it was a Golden Core Realm undead lord, but it was just a fake. Its true strength was merely at the peak stage of foundation building, and even though Subai had lost all his cultivation, he was not someone a beast like that could stop. He immediately took out the sword he had given to Lin Wangyu before, then manifested his Dharma body of the peak level. His Dharma body was very huge, and it unleashed itself. Subai used it to cut down the undead monster's sword. This completely shocked the undead monster, and it looked ahead, shocked to see Subai's Dharma body, asking, "How is this possible? How is there a manifestation of the heavens and earth, which is a nascent soul secret technique?" Seeing that, even the soldier's captain got shocked, saying, "This is stronger than any ability user I have ever encountered. This is just insane." A soldier asked the captain, "Are there really ability users this powerful?" But on the other hand, Subai started sweating because he had just barely gathered a bit of spiritual energy, and now, it was all gone. But getting a scaled king in return was worth it. Seeing that even a nascent soul secret technique was being used, the undead monster didn't know how he was supposed to fight this, so he immediately turned around and started running away. Seeing it trying to escape, Subai got ready to use another powerful technique. He threw his sword at the undead monster using his Phoenix Fury first. His sword turned into a fire phoenix, and at high speed flew towards the undead monster. Seeing the fire phoenix coming towards him, the undead monster got shocked. He recognized that it was a divine weapon, and with just one cry of the phoenix, he couldn't move a muscle. Now the undead monster regretted asking, "Just what kind of monster have I provoked?" The fire phoenix hit the undead monster in the stomach, piercing a huge hole. Seeing that, everyone was shocked. Lin Wangyu asked Subai, "The thing you just summoned, was that a phoenix?" Soldiers were also quite shocked seeing an ancient divine beast, the golden phoenix. They could not understand just what kind of power Subai had. Subai then raised his soul banner and activated it to seal the undead monster. As the chains of the soul banner went towards the undead monster, it started running away shouting, "Don't even think about enslaving me. I, the Bone Fiend Lord, will never surrender." But before it could run away, the Bone Lord got caught by the chains of the soul banner. Seeing that Bone Lord finally admitted defeat, saying even if it was frustrating, following a nascent soul powerhouse sounded far more promising than sticking with that brat, the soul banner sucked in the Bone Lord and closed its mouth completely, trapping him inside. Immediately, a system notification came congratulating the host for slaying a commander-level creature. With that, the 10,000 Souls banner leveled up. Host's current realm is Chi Refining Stage. 10,000 Souls banner level is 4. Controllable boss level undead is 1. Controllable advanced undead is 2 and could control 5. Controllable normal undead is 10 and could control 20. But before Subai could get happy seeing those notifications, he suddenly started coughing, forcing the manifestation of heaven and earth overexhausted him, and even caused his realm to drop. Seeing him coughing, Lin Wangyu immediately asked if he was okay, but suddenly a voice came from the soul banner. It was the Bone Lord. He addressed Subai as Lord, and offered to help him recover some strength. After seeing Subai stabilizing, the Bone Lord immediately appeared in human size, and transferred some of his spiritual power into Subai. A system notification came telling Subai that his current realm was now mid-stage of foundation building. Seeing that, Subai smiled because it was a step beyond his previous stage of foundation building. He understood that the soul energy in the 10,000 Souls banner gave him extra boosts. Subai turned and told Bone Lord it was quite thoughtful, offering his spiritual power to him. Bone Lord and Subai now knew that since it belonged to his banner, it served him alone, and only hoped he would trust it. Bone Lord was acting like that because after seeing the manifestation of heaven and earth, and that divine weapon infused with phoenix power, It understood that Su-bai must have been in the nascent soul realm before arriving in this world, and with that foundation, he would surely reach the peak once more. And if it served him well and followed in his footsteps, it too could rise to the top again. Thinking all that, he could not stop himself from laughing. Worried, Lin Wangyu asked Su-bai again if he was okay, because just now, she saw blood at the corner of his mouth. Seeing her all worried about him, Su-bai got more confused. He really didn't get why Lin Wangyu and the others tried to assassinate him before the transmigration, but he guessed it didn't matter anymore. The attempt already happened. The reason didn't matter. What mattered now was figuring out this world, and getting more spirit stones. He then turned to the soldier's captain and asked him to take them to see Li Zhenghao. The captain said yes, also addressing him as Lord Su-bai, but when they turned to leave, they saw that hundreds of zombies had surrendered to them. Seeing that, Su-bai got annoyed, saying, "These zombies just keep coming." Just then, Bone Lord came out of the soul banner in its spirit form and shouted at the zombies, "Blind beasts, don't you kneel when you see our Lord." Hearing Bone Lord's words, those zombies slowly backed off and created a path for Su-bai and his team to go. Seeing that, a soldier got too shocked and told his friend that Captain Xiao just said Su-bai could take on 100 by himself, and he didn't believe it. But this wasn't fighting 100. These zombies were kneeling and showing submission. The soldier said, "This Su-bai is terrifying. Ability users are like gods." Even Teacher Li was amazed, thinking, "This young man is remarkable. That golden phoenix from earlier, and the ability to harvest and command souls. In this chaotic post-apocalyptic world, could he become the new hero?" Meanwhile, in a faraway house, it was the house of that glasses guy's master. He reported to his master that the Bone Fiend Lord was killed. Hearing that, his master got shocked, saying it's impossible. The glasses guy sent some pictures, telling his master it's the truth. He wouldn't dare make false reports. These were some images captured from the scene. When that glasses guy's master saw the techniques Su-bai used, he immediately recognized that it was the manifestation of heaven and earth and Phoenix Fury Sword, because he was none other than Su-bai's disciple, who provoked his other disciples who killed Su-bai. He immediately recognized that it was his master Su-bai. He was very angry seeing that his master had arrived in this world too, and his master's progress was faster than his. He knew that he must hurry and find the junior sisters. He told the glasses guy that he recognized this Su-bai, and ordered the glasses guy to mobilize all his forces and kill him as soon as he stepped into the prison land. He also told the glasses guy that if he failed, then he should kill everyone inside the prison lands. The glasses guy told his master he understood. On the other hand, Su-bai, along with his team, arrived at the place where Teacher Li's father, Li Zhenghao, was trapped with other survivors. When those survivors saw that there was a group of skeleton zombies outside, they got scared and asked Li Zhenghao what they should do. Li Zhenghao told them not to worry. He had information about the spirit cave, and that they all needed it. It was the prison land that the glasses guy was talking about. They had kidnapped Li Zhenghao and his team to get information about the spirit cave. But suddenly, a guy from Li Zhenghao's team saw Su-bai and others. He got very excited and asked others to look. Someone was coming to rescue them. He also recognized Teacher Li, and told Li Zhenghao that his daughter was here too. Everyone looked out the window and saw that it was an ability user so powerful that even the zombies were kneeling before him. But as Su-bai and others were going towards that building, suddenly Lin Wangyu saw something coming towards them and called Su-bai. It looked like a huge shuriken blade moving very fast. Seeing that, Bone Lord immediately came out, telling his master Su-bai not to panic and to leave it to him. Bone Lord used his huge mace to block that giant shuriken blade, but just as he blocked it, a skeleton ninja came out and kicked him hard, pushing Bone Lord back. That skeleton ninja recognized Bone Lord and was surprised to see that it wasn't dead, and that it even switched sides. Bone Lord stood beside Su-bai and told the skeleton ninja that this was his new master. He warned the skeleton ninja to get out of his way quickly if he was smart. Seeing Bone Lord's arrogance, the skeleton ninja smiled and asked, "Who are you to command me?" Skeleton ninja ordered his skeleton subordinates to attack them, saying, "Master said, kill them, and you'll be greatly rewarded." When Su-bai saw that skeleton ninja, he immediately realized that this skeleton ninja was like the Bone Lord, seemingly at the Golden Core realm, but actually just at the peak of Foundation establishment. He took out the sword from before again, and asked Lin Wangyu to watch closely. He threw the sword at the skeleton ninja and used his phoenix cry. The whole sword turned into a fire phoenix and charged at the skeleton ninja. Seeing that fire phoenix, Lin Wangyu got a familiar feeling, but she didn't understand why she couldn't remember anything. When the skeleton ninja saw the fire phoenix, he realized that it was a divine artifact, but it was already too late, and neither the skeleton ninja nor his subordinates could move. Subai knows that there is no need to further exhaust himself. At Foundation Establishment mid-stage, wielding Phoenix Cry, he can already defeat those at the peak of Foundation Establishment. He told Bone Lord that now the skeleton ninja is all his. Hearing that, Bone Lord got very excited, saying that's just what he wanted. He thanked his master for giving him this chance. Bone Lord immediately jumped at the skeleton ninja to destroy him with his own hands. Because of the Fire Phoenix, the skeleton ninja could not escape. It got hit by Bone Lord's mace, and its head went flying. Immediately, a system notification came congratulating Subai for killing a commander-level creature. His experience points increased. Seeing that his experience increased but there was no level up, Subai got a little disappointed. On top of that, the level 4 10,000 Souls banner can still only control one boss-level undead. But Subai didn't think much of it, and asked Bone Lord if it could handle this skeleton ninja's golden body. Hearing that, Bone Lord got surprised. Subai told Bone Lord that maybe it would help him break through to the next level. Hearing that, Bone Lord got very happy, and thanked Subai for his grace, saying he would serve him with utmost loyalty, even unto death. Immediately Bone Lord started devouring the skeleton ninja's body. He was laughing at the skeleton ninja because, thanks to joining Master Subai, he survived. Otherwise, it would have been the one getting devoured. As Bone Lord devoured the skeleton ninja's body, its whole body got full of energy. He laughed and told Subai that after consuming the skeleton ninja, its power was now firmly at the Golden Core realm, and if it encountered this blood zombie again, it could take on 10 of them. Seeing that Subai killed the skeleton ninja with one strike, the people trapped in that building got very happy, thinking they were saved. A guy said, "This young man is the most powerful ability user I have ever seen." But suddenly, a shadow landed on top of that building's rooftop, and seeing that, everyone stopped talking. Before they could do anything, that shadow broke the glass window of the building, scaring all the people trapped inside. That shadow was a huge bird-like monster, whose whole body was made of Boke. That Boke Birdman roared and sent out a sound wave so powerful that it broke all the glass windows of the building. As the sound wave went towards Subai and others, Bone Lord came forward to protect them, telling Subai to be careful. When Subai saw that this Birdman was a genuine Golden Core realm with full spiritual energy, he got very excited, thinking if he could kill it, he would surely break through to the peak of Foundation Establishment, and the 10,000 Souls banner would also break through to level 5. On the other hand, people trapped inside the building got very scared seeing that it was the Bone Bird Man. They started shouting that they were done for, that they were all finished. They thought even Subai, who slew the skeleton ninja, might be powerless against the Bone Bird Man, because the team of ability users who rescued them earlier killed zombies like they were chickens. But when the Bone Bird Man appeared, they were instantly killed. It took less than 5 seconds. All 12 ability users died without even putting up a fight. After sensing the Bone Bird Man's power, even Lin Wangyu got scared, thinking it was over. They were truly finished. On the other hand, inside the building, when Teacher Li's father saw everyone panicking, he asked everyone to please hold on a bit longer. They must believe in the young man by her daughter Jingya's side. That glasses guy was also there, looking at them from a faraway building. He was the one controlling all those monsters who attacked Subai. He was very excited because his master wanted him to kill Subai, but didn't believe he could. So the glasses guy had decided to kill Subai and show his master. That's why he summoned the Bone Bird Man, a Golden Core realm monster with 5 clones, each with different abilities. He smiled and waited to see how Subai would handle this. When that Bone Bird Man saw that Subai was a Foundation Establishment mid-stage cultivator, he laughed, saying, "Such delicious flesh and blood. Today, he shall become my food." The Bone Bird Man then raised his huge wings and used his powers. Just as he flew into the sky, he split into 5 Bone Bird Men with different colored wings. As all 5 of those Bone Bird Men flew above Subai, the Red-Winged Bone Bird Man roared loudly, sending a very powerful sound wave at them. That Red-Winged Bone Bird Man's power was sound, and the sound it created was so loud that everyone immediately fell to the ground. Their heads started hurting like crazy. Even Bone Lord's head was hurting. He told Subai that this Birdman was his previous master's trump card puppet, with the strongest power. The one making the sound now is the Sonar Birdman, and there's also Venom, Blade, Bronze Wall, and Titan. Hearing that, Subai got worried because of that sound. Though Subai was not in pain like Lin Wangyu, his internal spiritual energy was being suppressed. If the others attacked simultaneously now, it would be quite troublesome. So Subai immediately raised his soul banner and told Bone Lord that since it said it could take on 10, he would leave this to him. Bone Lord immediately jumped at the Bone Bird Man, telling Subai to leave it to him. Bone Lord immediately jumped to attack the red Birdman, but the yellow Birdman used its huge wings to block his mace. Then the blue Birdman came and shot blade-like wings at Bone Lord. While both of them were fighting, the purple Birdman charged at Subai and the others. When Subai saw it coming, he immediately took out his sword to fight. Just as the purple Birdman got near, Subai used his Phoenix Force sword division technique and swung with full power to attack the purple Birdman. But the purple Birdman quickly stopped himself and then swung mid-air to attack Subai with its sharp wings. Subai ducked down to dodge its wings, but got cut on his arm. Seeing the blood dripping from his arm, Subai realized that this sound wave was too powerful, affecting both his speed and accuracy. His strength was now less than even early Foundation establishment, and he couldn't overuse the Divine Avatar technique again, because using it repeatedly in a short time would shatter his soul. Subai now didn't understand what he should do next. But Subai is the mighty emperor, and has slain demon kings before. He knows that this mere Birdman is just a matter of time. Once he breaks through the Sonar's influence and regains his strength, with the Phoenix Cry Sword, he will have a chance. He raised the Soul Banner and released all his zombies and slaves, ordering them to charge. Subai's zombies and the giant snake charged towards the Birdman, but even all of them were no match for the Birdman and his clones, who were flying into the air and using 5 different powers. As Subai was struggling, suddenly one attacked him from behind, injuring his back. As Subai fell to the ground, that Birdman laughed at him for trying to stop the sonar power, saying it was impossible. Seeing them laughing at his master, the Bone Lord got furious and challenged the Birdman, saying, "Aren't you Su Haoji's trump card? Is this all you've got?" Hearing that, the green Birdman attacked the Bone Lord, mocking him that his strength was spent. Yet he still tried to talk tough. It told the Bone Lord that even breaking through to Golden Core meant nothing, because under the sonar power everyone was on the ground, unable to fight back. Teacher Lee was very scared to see that this Birdman's one cry made everyone paralyzed. Even the soldiers were scared, saying this skeleton Birdman was an abomination. How could they possibly defeat it? Lin Wangyu said, "It's over. Everyone is going to die here." Seeing their condition, the glasses guy laughed because his master said he couldn't kill Subai, but now Subai was completely defenseless. He told them to enjoy being tortured to death slowly by the Bone Birdman. Seeing them all struggling, Teacher Lee's father came to the window and shouted, telling Subai to stop fighting because he couldn't beat the Birdman. He begged Subai to run, to please take Li Jingya and leave this place. Seeing that there was no way out, annoyed, Subai wondered if he really had to use that move. But before he could do anything, suddenly a strike came flying towards the Birdman. It hit the red Birdman, making it stop using the sonar power. Just as it stopped, a yellow-haired lady jumped into the air saying, "They are all too noisy." Then she used another stick to strike the red Birdman on the head with full power, destroying its whole skeleton head. As it died, the sonar power ended, and everyone's headache stopped. Teacher Lee said it's great. Her head didn't hurt anymore. Lin Wangyu turned to ask if it was Subai who stopped it, but a soldier told her it wasn't Subai but a woman. Hearing that, they all looked at the yellow-haired woman. Teacher Lee was amazed to see her dashing figure. Lin Wangyu commented that she had a cold and beautiful face. Even the soldiers were shocked by the powerful aura that yellow-haired woman was releasing. Subai also stood up and thanked the yellow-haired girl, but that girl asked him to kill the enemy first, and when they were done, he should lend her the soul banner in his hand to play with. On the other hand, Subai's Bone Lord had regained his powers and immediately jumped to attack the blue Birdman, shouting, "Dog Birdman, can't make a sound anymore, can you?" And with a single strike, he killed that blue Birdman. Seeing that, the purple Birdman flew into the sky to escape, but before it could escape, Subai's Phoenix Cry Sword came flying and cut the purple Birdman's neck. The purple Birdman fell to the ground and died while the Phoenix Cry Sword returned to Subai. Without the sound waves, these Birdmen were utterly defenseless. The glasses guy immediately recognized that the yellow-haired girl using the staff is the Weapon King Chuan Yinyun. He could not understand why she was here, but he decided to do as his master said and kill everyone in the warehouse. The green Birdman asked the yellow Birdman, "Who's that staff wielder? Where did this wild one come from?" But the yellow Birdman reminded him that it was just the two of them left, and their master had said if they couldn't kill Subai, they should kill everyone in the warehouse. On the other hand, the people inside the warehouse felt relieved to see that Subai and his team had killed 3 of the Birdmen, and now only 2 remained. They thought they were saved. They thanked heaven and Subai. Teacher Lee's father confidently declared that now no one could stop them from surviving. But just then, the yellow and green Birdmen charged towards the warehouse at full speed. Seeing that they were targeting the warehouse, Teacher Lee shouted, asking Subai to please save her father. Knowing that Teacher Lee's father had information about the Spirit Stones, Subai ordered Bone Lord to stop those two birdmen. Bone Lord charged at them, shouting, "Birdmen, don't you dare run away!" He swung his huge mace and struck the yellow birdman with full power, destroying its whole body. But the green birdman used the opportunity and reached the warehouse. It smashed through the window and entered. Seeing that, everyone inside panicked and ran, but there was no place to escape. Immediately, the green birdman opened its mouth and released a green fog. Everyone who inhaled that green poison immediately fell to the ground. The green birdman laughed, telling them to taste the flavor of absolute poison. Teacher Lee's father also breathed in that poisonous gas, and while calling his daughter's name, he collapsed to the ground. Seeing her father dying, Teacher Lee ran towards him, but Lin Wangyu called her from behind, saying if Teacher Lee went there, she would die from inhaling the poison mist too. Teacher Lee could not reach her father, and could only watch him die. This made her too angry, and she gritted her teeth in frustration. Her anger was so strong that suddenly her body started glowing with purple energy. She screamed in agony and unleashed her power. Seeing that, the yellow-haired lady Yin Yun realized that Teacher Lee was about to awaken, but it seemed she couldn't handle this awakening power. Seeing Teacher Lee, Bone Lord thought that her energy was chaotic, that she might die from her body exploding. When Subai sensed Teacher Lee's energy, his expression darkened. From her energy, he wondered if she had actually awakened this kind of ability. He immediately grabbed the unstable Teacher Lee and flew into the sky, because for him, it was just chaotic energy. As the Immortal Realm Emperor, he had countless disciples, and this was nothing new. It was child's play for him. He raised his soul banner and ordered it to form a barrier around them. As the barrier formed, Subai immediately started channeling his energy into Teacher Lee's body, knowing that with proper guidance, it often yields twice the result with half the effort. When Lin Wangyu saw Subai and Teacher Lee like that, she felt that this scene was too familiar to her. She saw a vision in her mind where she was standing in front, and Subai was behind her, channeling energy into her. Seeing that vision, a word came into her mind: Master. She could not understand why she felt a bit sour seeing Subai and Teacher Lee together. After a few minutes, Teacher Lee came down to the ground. She had calmed down after Subai guided her through her awakening. As he came down, he asked Teacher Lee to try out her ability and give this birdman a good punishment. Hearing that, the green birdman laughed, asking Subai who he was trying to fool. He challenged them to see who could stop him. Saying that, he immediately turned around and started running away. Seeing him run, Teacher Lee shouted, "Birdman, your wings have malfunctioned. You've fallen to the ground." Just as she said that, suddenly the birdman's wings malfunctioned in reality, and immediately he started falling to the ground. He could not understand what was going on. How did his wings really malfunction? And just like that, the green birdman fell to the ground, unable to fly anymore. Seeing that, everyone was shocked, asking what kind of overwhelming power this was. Lin Wangyu could not believe her eyes, that just by saying a few words, it actually came true. Bone Lord suspected, could this ability be? Before he could finish, Teacher Lee confirmed it, saying, "That's right, this ability is called Words Become Reality." Now her words were truth. Her words were reality. She admitted that, of course, it was also thanks to Subai's guidance that she mastered this ability. Subai then ordered Bone Lord to slay the birdman, and asked Teacher Lee to go save her father quickly. Teacher Lee said understood and left. On the other hand, as Subai commanded, Bone Lord raised his huge mace into the air, and while laughing, struck the green birdman with full power, telling him this was his true power at the Golden Core realm. Just as the birdman died, Subai raised his soul banner and captured its soul. Chains of spiritual energy came out of the soul banner and tied down the birdman's soul. Seeing this, the glasses guy was too shocked, realizing that Subai really had skills. Even the bone birdman had been taken down, but he thought it was fine, because the people in the warehouse should all be dead, so the mission wasn't a failure. As Subai captured the birdman's soul, a system notification came, congratulating the host for killing a commander-level creature. Because of that, the banner of 10,000 souls level had increased. Currently, its realm was Foundation Establishment. Banner of 10,000 souls is now level 5. Its current controllable boss level undead is 2. Its current controllable ordinary undead is 39. And just like that, the Bone Bird fell beside the Bone Lord in the soul banner. It didn't even imagine that he, the mighty Bone Bird, would one day be captured in the banner of 10,000 souls. Bone Lord told the birdman that he should consider himself lucky to become a soul in Master's banner, and ordered him to serve their master well. Hearing them talking, Subai looked into the soul banner and asked the birdman if there was a way to neutralize the poison, but the birdman didn't say anything and looked away. This made the Bone Lord angry, and he hit the birdman, asking if he didn't know how to answer when Master asked him a question. He warned the birdman that he would tear his bones apart. Left with no choice, the birdman told Subai that if it sucked out the poison, it would naturally dissipate. Hearing that, Subai followed Teacher Lee and went into the warehouse. They ran up the staircase and reached the 3rd floor. Teacher Lee opened the door with a bang and called for her father, who was lying unconscious on the ground. Seeing that, Teacher Lee immediately used her powers and shouted, "Let the poison in Li Zhenghao's body leave his body." But nothing happened. Her powers didn't work, and her father was still lying on the ground. She tried again, but before she could, she suddenly felt like throwing up. She fell to the ground and spewed a massive amount of blood from her mouth. Teacher Lee was shocked to see so much blood. Subai told her that the words become reality. Ability was powerful and versatile, but it was extremely demanding on spiritual energy and one's own strength. Once overdrawn, at best she would fall into a coma. At worst, it could damage her marrow and bones, or even cost her life. Subai continued, telling Teacher Lee that she was lucky this time to only cough up blood. He warned her that if she pushed herself too hard next time, it might cost her life. He then raised the soul banner and ordered the birdman to come forth, warning him that if Teacher Lee's father died, the birdman's soul would scatter and vanish too. Hearing that, the birdman got scared and immediately came out, saying he would do it right away. He went towards Teacher Lee's father and started sucking out the green poison mist from his mouth. The birdman used his full power and drew out all the poison from his body. He then turned and told Subai that the poison had been in his body for too long, so he managed to save his life, but it was hard to say when he would wake up. Hearing that her father's life was saved, Teacher Lee immediately rushed to check on him. On the other hand, Subai felt a little disappointed hearing that her father wouldn't wake up, because he still didn't know the whereabouts of the spirit stones, and didn't know what to do next. Seeing Subai worried, Lin Wangyu came forward, and mistakenly called him master, but quickly corrected herself and said, "Mr. Subai, I can sense that there is an energy body in Mr. Lee's possession." Lin Wangyu found it strange. Why did she keep blurting out master recently? She wondered what exactly her relationship with Subai was. On the other hand, Subai went to check Teacher Lee's father, and to his surprise, her father really had a spiritual crystal in his possession, and it was a high-grade crystal. Seeing that, Subai was shocked, because in a world without spiritual energy, there existed high-grade spirit stones. He took that crystal and asked Lin Wangyu to hold on to it and see if she could sense anything. Lin Wangyu took the crystal and started sensing its energy nearby. After a few seconds, she opened her eyes in shock. She pointed in a direction and told Subai she could sense something. This stone originated from that direction, probably about 20 to 30 kilometers away. Hearing that, Subai immediately turned around and asked Lin Wangyu to let's go, saying they were heading east. Teacher Lee told Subai that she needed to take care of her father, so she wouldn't be able to go with them. Understanding her situation, Subai didn't say anything, and turned to leave, but was stopped by the yellow-haired Yin Yun. She asked Subai if he remembered what she said before. Subai replied that she wanted to borrow his weapon for a bit. Yin Yun said yes. Subai said take it, and threw the soul banner to her. Yin Yun caught the soul banner. She was surprised to see that she asked Subai for a weapon, and he gave it without any hesitation. She had the power that could help her absorb the spirit from weapons to enhance her own strength. She smiled and decided to absorb it first, and think about it later. Yin Yun activated her powers and tried to absorb Subai's soul banner's power, but just as she tried, she got shocked. Before understanding anything, she fell on her knees. She could not understand what was going on. Her ability had no effect on the soul banner, and she even got backlashed after trying to absorb its power. Subai then came and took out the phoenix sword, asking Yin Yun, how about she play with this one instead? Embarrassed, Yin Yun tried to act calm, saying Subai's weapons were truly strange and very powerful. Saying that, she handed over the soul banner to Subai. She looked at Subai in suspicion because Subai had just used this sword to cut down the bone bird, so it must be an extraordinary item, and now he was giving it to her willingly. She wondered if he was that confident, but Yin Yun snatched the phoenix sword from his hand, saying whatever. She didn't believe they were all this bizarre. She immediately activated her power and tried to absorb the phoenix sword's power, but the next second she saw a vision where a huge fire phoenix was attacking her. Yin Yun immediately fell on the ground and vomited blood from her mouth. This effect was worse than the soul banner. She looked at Subai in anger, wondering what kind of weird things were his weapons. Countless souls, and now a divine phoenix. Now she wanted to know exactly who he was and what his ability was. When Subai saw her looking, he smiled. He had realized that her ability was absorbing the spirit of weapons, and it was quite common in that world. But unfortunately, the Phoenix Cry Sword was a divine artifact, and the banner of 10,000 souls was given by the system, even beyond a divine artifact, and she was only at the peak of Foundation Establishment realm. Embarrassed for the second time, Yin Yun handed over the Phoenix Sword to Subai, saying Mr. Su's divine weapons were truly impressive. Subai then asked her to come with him, and all the weapons they seized along the way would be hers. She was surprised to hear that. She turned and said, "It's a deal." Meanwhile, inside the Soul Banner, Birdman called Bone Lord an old schemer because it even absorbed Yin Yun's spiritual energy. Bone Lord laughed and told the Birdman that it did it all for Master and asked it to watch and learn. Bone Lord then used sound transmission and told Subai that it had just absorbed some spiritual energy from that girl for him to help him break through. Hearing that, Subai got happy and praised Bone Lord, saying he was very thoughtful. He told the Bone Lord that in the future, when it encountered souls with spiritual energy, it could have them all. Hearing that, Bone Lord got happy. Subai then turned to check his realm. His current realm was Advanced Foundation Establishment. At Mid-Foundation Establishment, Subai's one sword strike could defeat Peak Foundation Establishment. Now breaking through to Advanced, even Golden Core Realm might not be unbeatable. Then they all came out of that warehouse along with Teacher Li's father. Subai told Captain Xiao that this was where they parted ways. Captain Xiao told Subai to don't worry, saying they would make sure to protect Teacher Li and the other survivors. At the same time, at a faraway place, a rich family along with their bodyguards were trapped in a house surrounded by zombies. One of the bodyguards shouted, asking what about the master? We can't break through at all. Just then the zombies broke free and attacked the bodyguards. The family head along with his daughter were terrified, screaming. This was the GI family house. The family head started crying while hugging his daughter, saying his G family had struggled for 100 years to finally reach the top of the wealthy, and now they faced the apocalypse. He shouted, asking who would save his G family and his daughter. Just then, somebody came there with lightning speed, and with a swing of his sword, he sliced those zombies into pieces. It was none other than Subai's disciple Shen Yunbin, who had collided with other disciples to kill Subai. When G family's bodyguards saw him, they immediately told their master that it was ability users, explaining that they were too strong, like war gods. Hearing that, the G family head and his daughter got very excited, thinking they were saved. Yunbin looked at the G family daughter, calling her fake Shui, saying long time no see. Hearing that, the G family head got shocked and turned to his daughter, asking if they knew each other. His daughter immediately declined, saying no, but admitted that she felt like they had met before. Yunbin got close and patted fake Sue's head and called her Little Snow, explaining to her that she was his dear junior sister. Hearing him call her junior sister, Little Snow immediately remembered everything about her senior brothers and sisters and her master. When Subei's face snapped in front of her eyes, she opened her eyes in shock. She called Yunbin's senior brother and told him that she seemed to remember everything now. Saying that, she laughed and activated her power. Many coins started floating around her immediately. Yunbin congratulated Little Snow as her memory and ability had been restored, and told her that now it was time to deal with more important matters. Little Snow said yes. She turned and threw some coins in the air. Those coins spread around the GI family house and created a golden barrier, pushing all the zombies out of it. Little Snow told her father that this was farewell. She was leaving with her senior brother on important business, and told him to don't leave the space where the coins were. Zombies couldn't enter there. Saying that, she left from there. After coming out, she took a deep breath and said the air here was very polluted, but compared to underground, it was too fresh. Yunbin told her that now was not the time for nostalgia, adding that if they didn't eliminate Master, this world would become even worse. Hearing the word Master, a smile came on Little Snow's face. She smiled and said, "My beloved and respected Master, why did you do this? Since you're not dead, my senior brother and I will have to continue our righteous patricide." Yunbin told her that their master was now heading to the spirit cave, so they must get there first, obtain the spirit stones, and then kill him. Meanwhile in the city, Yunbin's disciple, that glasses guy, was standing on the rooftop of a building. He was shocked to see that his mission failed, but he laughed because in his eyes, there was no such word as failure. He decided that as long as he killed Subai and his master gave him that thing, he could return to his own world. On the other hand, while Subai, Lin Wangyu, and Yin Yun were going, some people who were getting attacked by zombies asked for their help, saying, "Ability users, save me." But Subai just walked past them. Seeing those people, Lin Wangyu asked Subai if they were really not going to save them. Hearing that, Yin Yun called her naive, explaining that they couldn't save everyone. In the apocalypse, improving their own strength was key. Then, after they left the city, Lin Wangyu pointed in a direction and told Subai that from here 10 miles ahead was the source of those stones. Hearing that, Subai asked them to speed up to avoid any trouble. But just then, Lin Wangyu saw something shocking and told Subai that a large mass of spiritual energy was approaching. When they looked ahead, they saw the glasses guy coming towards them on a bone horse, and behind him was an undead army. Glasses Guy stopped his bone horse right before Subai. He looked at Subai and said, "Mr. Subai, you killed 3 of my generals and are just leaving like this. That's not very polite, you know." Hearing that, Subai got serious, realizing he was the one controlling those monsters. When Birdman saw the Glasses Guy, it panicked, saying it's over, it's the master, and he's actually coming out himself. But the Bone Lord angrily told the Birdman that he was their master. Their only master now was Subai. Hearing Birdman, Subai asked it if it was scared. Birdman said not at all and asked Subai to just give the order. Hearing that, Subai smiled and summoned both Birdman and Bone Lord, ordering them to go and test the enemy's strength. Seeing them coming, Glasses Guy laughed, saying how presumptuous. He called the Bone Lord and Birdman, asking if they had forgotten his tireless teachings. How dare they draw their weapons against him? Just as he said that, the ground below Bone Lord and Birdman broke, scaring both of them. Immediately the whole surrounding changed. The Bone Lord and Birdman flew onto a piece of land in the air and sat on the ground all scared. Seeing that, Yin Yun got shocked, saying this guy's voice had some kind of ability to interfere with people's minds. Subai immediately realized that it was a mental interference ability, and asked everyone to cover their ears. But Yin Yun didn't listen to Subai and jumped to attack the Glasses Guy, saying what's so great about that. She raised her staff to attack, shouting, "Eat my staff, you bastard." Seeing her, the Glasses Guy laughed, saying, "Such a beautiful young lady. How can you be so crude?" Saying that, he used his power on Yin Yun. Before Yin Yun could get near him, her mind got hit. She immediately fell in front of the Glasses Guy, unable to do anything. Her personality changed completely, and she started crying like a baby, calling her mama. Seeing her like that, Subai used the Soul Banner to communicate with Bone Lord, asking it if the Glasses Guy could create illusions too. Bone Lord told Subai that the Glasses Guy's entire body was full of mental control realms. His voice, his eyes, even every pore and cell. Hearing that, Subai smiled, saying mental control, quite an impressive ability. However, blocking mental control wasn't that difficult. Subai then swung his hand in the air and used a technique. He gathered spiritual energy from the surroundings and created an energy layer over his body. This energy layer covered Subai's whole body along with his head and arms. When the Glasses Guy saw Subai blocking the perception of every part of his body, he laughed and asked, "How will Subai fight then?" But just as he completed his words, Subai immediately attacked him with the Phoenix Sword, telling the Glasses Guy to worry about himself. The Phoenix Fire hit the Glasses Guy, burning his whole body. He screamed in pain. Subai looked at him with a serious expression, because he saw through the Glasses Guy's acting. Glasses Guy mocked Subai, laughing, saying, "Can't catch me, can you?" He told Subai that he had seen all his tricks. They were nothing special. Besides, did Subai really think he was helpless, just because Subai had blocked the perception of every part of his body? Glasses Guy called his skeleton warriors and ordered them to farm ranks. Immediately, Glasses Guy's skeleton warriors surrounded Subai, Lin Wangyu, and Yin Yun. Both Lin Wangyu and Yin Yun fell on the ground crying. Lin Wangyu also fell into an illusion, seeing Yin Yun as her child. She hugged Yin Yun, asking her to don't cry. Seeing that, Bone Lord panicked and told Subai that they had entered Glasses Guy's domain, explaining that he had set this place up in advance, and once they entered this domain, they couldn't escape his mental control. Just as Bone Lord said that, Subai also fell into Glasses Guy's domain. He found himself in his own world, cultivating in the air while his disciples were sitting in front of him. Subai's 5 female disciples were looking at him while their master, Subai, had completely stopped moving. Seeing that, Glasses Guy laughed, telling Subai that even with his impressive strength, he had still fallen when he met him. Glasses Guy decided to see what was actually in Subai's illusion. He entered Subai's illusion where he saw Subai teaching his disciples. There was Yunbin too. Subai told Yunbin that every detail must be perfect. A tiny error can lead to a huge difference. Yunbin said yes, master, and followed his words. When the Glasses Guy saw Yunbin, he got shocked. He recognized that this was his master. Glasses Guy's jaw dropped when he found out that his master was actually Subai's disciple. He got too confused, wondering who on earth was this Subai. Why did the master want to kill his own teacher? While Glasses Guy was lost in his thoughts, suddenly Subai turned around and looked directly at him. This surprised the Glasses Guy. Subai laughed, asking, "Have you finished watching? So you're Shen Yunbin's lackey?" Glasses Guy got shocked seeing that Subai had independent consciousness. Subai didn't reply to him and took out the Phoenix Sword. He gathered fire in the sword and used his Phoenix Cry Sword third form, breaking the classic, and swung at the Glasses Guy, cutting him in half. The illusion broke and the Glasses Guy fell on the ground. Subai asked the Glasses Guy if he thought he was just simply swinging his sword. Subai told him that he was not cutting him, but his illusion. He pointed his sword at the glasses guy's head, angry that he had repeatedly offended him just for Shen Yunbin. Subai now started to wonder if everything behind this was all Shen Yunbin's doing. He grew furious because he had treated Shen Yunbin like a son, yet he conspired and backstabbed him. But even when a sword was pointed at him, the glasses guy was laughing. Immediately 2 skeleton warriors came from behind to attack Subai. Subai turned and cut down those skeletons with his phoenix sword, but the glasses guy used this opportunity to escape, laughing and saying, "So what if you've broken my illusion? You still can't catch me." He put some distance between him and Subai, and then turned around. He took out sharp blades, telling Subai that he could dominate this apocalyptic world, not just relying on illusion techniques. He threw those sharp blades at Subai, saying killing the master's teacher. Just thinking about it is exciting. Seeing him attacking, Subai smiled and asked Bone Lord if they understood the glasses guy's weaknesses. Bone Lord and Birdman replied that they did. Hearing that, Subai said very good, and summoned both Bone Lord and Birdman, telling them that he was leaving the glasses guy's soul consciousness to them. Just as Subai said that, both Bone Lord and Birdman came out of the soul banner and charged at the glasses guy. Seeing them coming, glasses guy grew angry and shouted, "Bone Lord, you dare to face me in combat." He threw more blades at Bone Lord and Birdman, telling them to come back after training for another 100 years. But the Bone Lord blocked all the blades of the glasses guy, saying he looked down on others too much. Birdman used his wings to deflect all the blades, telling glasses guy that he should reassess after 3 days apart. When the glasses guy heard that, he realized that something was off. He used his senses and got shocked to feel Bone Lord and Birdman's aura. Both Bone Lord and Birdman jumped to attack the glasses guy. Still in shock, glasses guy asked if they had broken through to the Golden Core realm. How was that possible? Birdman used its legs to attack the glasses guy, telling him that following the new master, it ate 6 meals a day. Bone Lord attacked the glasses guy with its giant mace. Bone Lord laughed, telling the glasses guy that reaching Golden Core was normal now. He asked glasses guy to surrender, saying he was no match for his master. Hearing that, glasses guy laughed, calling Subai a petty man in power. He used the blade fans in his hands and with full power pushed both the Birdman and Bone Lord, sending them flying into the air, telling them that with his treasure in hand, they couldn't kill him even if they wanted to. Glasses guy immediately turned to run away from there, telling them to get out of his way. He was very annoyed and decided that he would concede this time. But just then, Yin Yun jumped from behind to attack the glasses guy. She hit the glasses guy's hand, making him drop the blade fan. That blade fan went flying in the air and landed in Yin Yun's hands. Yin Yun grabbed the blade fan and completely stripped the glasses guy of his treasure. She then used her power and absorbed that blade fan's spirit into herself. That spirit power was too sweet for her, making her feel very good. She then threw the blade fan on the ground right in front of the glasses guy. When the glasses guy saw that, he immediately picked up the blade fan, but when he tried to use it, he got shocked. He could not understand why it wasn't responding at all. But before he could understand anything, Yin Yun kicked him in the face, sending him flying away. Her kick broke the glasses guy's glasses. After defeating the glasses guy, Yin Yun turned and thanked Subai for the treasured fan, saying it smells good. After the glasses guy was defeated, both the Bone Lord and Birdman came running to him. Both Bone Lord and Birdman used their giant mace and kicks to finish off the glasses guy. Bone Lord grabbed the glasses guy's corpse, laughing, saying, "Old master, I'm going to eat your soul now." But before he did, the Birdman attacked the Bone Lord, asking to let him eat because he hadn't eaten before. Bone Lord pushed the Birdman saying, "Go away, you are new here. Why are you butting in?" Hearing that, Birdman started fighting the Bone Lord, asking him to let him go first or he would chop him up. But Bone Lord told it to stop boasting, asking if it wanted to have a go. When Subai saw them fighting, he just told them to split it in half. Hearing their master's command, they finally stopped and agreed to split it in half. As the Bone Lord was splitting the soul of the glasses guy with Birdman, it wondered how Subai knew it was aware of the glasses guy's weakness. This made the Bone Lord realize that his new master was far smarter than the glasses guy, and so he should better behave himself. Both Bone Lord and the Birdman then absorbed the glasses guy's soul. Immediately the Birdman shouted in excitement, saying it tasted so good, it felt like it was approaching mid-golden core. Bone Lord agreed, saying the flavor was absolutely amazing. Bone Lord then turned and sent some spiritual energy towards Subai, telling him that the glasses guy's spiritual energy was truly abundant, and he couldn't bear to enjoy it alone, and wished to offer it to him. Birdman joined in, saying it too wanted to give the spiritual energy to him. Subai absorbed that spiritual energy, and thanked them. Subai then checked his status window. Subai's current realm was Peak Foundation Establishment, and the banner of 10,000 souls was at level 5. Its current controllable boss level undead was 2, and current controllable common undead was 30. Subai was shocked to see that the banner's level didn't increase, but his realm improved quite a bit. Subai realized that as long as he found the spirit cave, breaking through to Golden Core was within reach. Now that Subai had reached peak foundation establishment, he could explore his sea of consciousness again. Subai then tried to touch his consciousness, and got shocked. He could actually touch it. It was too wonderful. Meanwhile, 10 miles away from there in a rocky area, on a huge mountain's backside, there was a huge cave, and Yunbin and Little Snow were standing at the entrance of the cave. Looking at that cave, Little Snow asked her senior brother if this was the place, adding that she could feel the spiritual energy was very dense inside. Yunbin asked her to let's go in quickly, or they might miss their chance. While going inside, Yunbin realized that his disciple, that glasses guy, had lost his vitality. He got annoyed because of glasses guy acting on his own. Now Yunbin had lost another important piece. He admitted that his master, Subai, was still so formidable. When they went deep inside the cave, they started to see huge spirit stones all over the cave walls. Seeing all that, Little Snow asked Yunbin why they were not picking spirit stones from the walls. While walking ahead, Yunbin asked her if she knew. The core of this spirit cave was a spirit spring. Right in front of them was a small spring filled with spirit water. Seeing such a dense spirit spring, Little Snow got very excited, saying staying here for a day might lead to a major breakthrough. Yunbin told her he had 3 leads on such spirit caves. But then Little Snow heard some footsteps from behind. She told her senior brother that it seemed someone was coming from outside. Yunbin said no worries, asking if she had forgotten her senior brother's first-class illusions. Yunbin laughed and used his illusion power in that cave, and immediately some voices came of people fighting. One guy shouted, "You dare steal my spirit stones." Another shouted, "You're talking nonsense. Clearly you stole mine, you're asking for death." Meanwhile, at the entrance of the spirit cave, Subai had arrived there with Lin Wangyu and Yin Yun. When Lin Wangyu saw the cave, she pointed inside and told Subai that it was right inside and very dense. Subai looked inside the cave and saw spirit crystals shining there. He asked both Lin Wangyu and Yin Yun to let's go inside the cave, and all 3 of them entered the cave. As Subai, Lin Wangchu and Yin Yun walked deeper into the cave, they noticed that the walls were filled with empty spirit stone cavities. All the stones had already been taken, yet the air was still thick with spiritual energy. Subai calmly observed the surroundings and concluded that there must be a spiritual spring nearby. He instructed Lin Wangchu to guide the others in the direction where the energy felt strongest. Lin Wangchu respectfully agreed, but hearing that, Yin Yun was puzzled. She had never heard of a spiritual spring before, but judging by Subai's expression, she guessed it must be something valuable. Inside the Soul Banner, when Bone Lord and Birdman heard that there was actually a spiritual spring, both of them got excited. Bone Lord exclaimed that such a treasure could raise their cultivation by at least 2 minor realms. Birdman started dancing, saying that ever since they had followed this new master, good fortune seemed endless. Back in the tunnel, Subai's group was suddenly met with the sound of a violent clash. Dust and debris scattered as 2 men fought fiercely over a weapon lodged in the ground. One shouted that the divine weapon was his, and warned the other not to snatch it. The other roared back, claiming the magic staff as his own. Watching from a distance, Yin Yun recognized the fighters, and told Subai that they were Iron Arms and Bronze Legs. She went on to explain that Iron Arms and Bronze Legs were among the earliest awakened mutants. Their names reflected their power. Their limbs were virtually indestructible. Just 2 weeks ago, even rocket launchers had failed to harm them. Hearing that, Subai thought carefully. He remembered that the rescue team only carried bullets effective up to the Foundation Establishment realm, but rocket launchers were much stronger. If even those couldn't scratch these 2, then Iron Arms and Bronze Legs had to be above Subai's current realm. As Subai watched the 2 men fight, he noticed the object at the center of the struggle. It was nothing more than a plain wooden staff. Seeing that, Lin Wangchu frowned, wondering why anyone would fight so desperately over something so ordinary. Subai calmly reasoned that the 2 men must have fallen into an illusion, their minds ensnared. Whoever had the power to trap them in such a way had to be incredibly strong. Lin Wangchu suddenly pointed ahead and told Subai that the source of the dense spiritual energy was just inside. Subai's sharp eyes turned toward the direction she indicated. Lin Wangchu hesitated, placing a hand near her lips as a strange feeling stirred within her. She whispered that the energy seemed oddly familiar. Subai's expression hardened as realization struck him. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he confirmed his suspicion. The one absorbing the spiritual spring was no stranger. It was his very own traitor. Suddenly, Iron Arms and Bronze Legs stopped their struggle for a moment. their eyes shifting towards Subai and his companions. Bronze Legs muttered that he didn't like having spectators around and suggested they get rid of them. Iron Arms agreed without hesitation. With a sudden roar, both men launched themselves forward, attacking at full speed. Seeing that, Yin Yun in the black combat suit stepped forward confidently. After absorbing the treasure fan earlier, her strength had surged. Smirking, she declared that she had energy to spare, and told Subai to leave those two to her. She leapt into the fray, moving swiftly. She clashed head-on with the two mutants, her strikes sharp and precise. The cavern echoed with the sounds of their fierce battle. But suddenly, Iron Arms grabbed hold of her wooden staff, his iron-like grip making the wood splinter and crack. A dangerous glint appeared in his eyes as he studied her. With a mocking smile, he admitted that the woman had impressive skills. Bronze Legs speculated that the staff wielder they were dealing with might be none other than the Artifact King himself. A twisted smile spread across Iron Arm's face. He charged forward, sneering that mere skills would never be enough to save her, smashing through her defense and shattering the wooden staff in her hands. Yin Yun fought back fiercely, but before she could regain her footing, Bronze Legs moved like lightning. His kick struck her directly, sending her crashing back with a scream. Pain shot through her body as she realized in shock that her meridians had been severed with a single kick. She couldn't understand how they had grown stronger so quickly, outpacing her despite her efforts. As she fell, her strength fading, Subai caught her in his arms, steadying her before she hit the ground. With a calm voice, he raised his soul banner and released the Bone Lord and Birdman, saying he would heal her, and leaving them to fight Iron Arms and Bronze Legs. Bone Lord and Birdman surged forward, clashing against the enemies with overwhelming force. Both of them jumped high and attacked. The battlefield was filled with chaos. Bone Lord swung his massive weapon to attack while Birdman turned into 5 birdmen and used his sonar skill to scream loudly, but Iron Arms blocked Bone Lord's move. Amidst the clash, Subai rushed in, carrying a wounded Yin Yun in his arms. He threw the soul banner to form a barrier around them as he began to heal Yin Yun. Yin Yun's body was weakening because her injuries were severe. Subai looked down at her and spoke calmly, telling her that he would heal her meridians. He warned that it would hurt, but urged her to endure it. He then pressed his fingers together, forming a seal. Green spiritual energy flowed from his hands, wrapping around them both like a glowing current. His power seeped into her body, mending her broken meridians. Yin Yun gasped, sweat running down her face as the energy spread through her, pain mixed with relief, her voice trembling as she let out soft cries. Soon, her expression changed. The warmth of Subai's spiritual energy soothed her completely, easing the pain. She realized her meridians were regenerating, stronger than before. In awe, she wondered to herself, just who was Subai really? From a distance, Lin Wangqiu spotted the scene. Her face flushed. She muttered that Subai had secluded himself with someone again. A faint sense of longing filled her eyes as she whispered to herself, wondering when it would finally be her turn. On the battlefield, the screeching cries of Birdman echoed everywhere. Iron Arms grew irritated at the noise, cursing under his breath. He turned to Bronze Legs and ordered him to silence the racket. Bronze Legs stepped forward. With a single heavy stomp, the ground cracked beneath his feet. In the next instant, his powerful kick shot out like a cannon, smashing into Birdman with terrifying force. Immediately, Birdman's noise stopped. A smirk spread across Iron Arm's face as he muttered that it was much quieter now. Then, with lightning speed, Iron Arms punched Bone Lord, his fists clashing directly against Bone Lord's armor. The impact was immense, and even Bone Lord had to admit, his opponent's strength was unbelievable. Meanwhile, Birdman found himself struggling against Bronze Legs. Despite his skill, he could not understand how he was being pushed back. His frustration grew as he questioned how he could possibly be losing. Still, he launched another desperate attack, but Bronze Legs jumped to dodge it, and then, with full power, kicked the yellow Birdman's head, destroying it instantly. Seeing that, Birdman was shocked, wondering when such powerful mutants had begun to appear. Not just him. Iron Arms was also attacking Bone Lord fiercely, slamming his blows against the massive warrior. Bone Lord grunted in pain, muttering about his old bones as he struggled to withstand the assault. Then all the Birdmen attacked Bronze Legs together, mocking him, saying he couldn't kick them because they had wings to escape with. Meanwhile, deep within a glowing cave pool, Yunbin and Little Snow sat in the water. Little Snow listened to the distant rumble of battle, and commented that the fighting outside was growing intense. She also sensed a presence that felt strangely familiar. Yunbin opened his eyes, his tone calm but certain. He told her that the presence was none other than their dear master. Realization struck her, and she quickly urged that they needed to break through faster. for their master was already near. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Subai called back his soul banner while holding Yin-yun beside him. Both of their bodies swirled with energy, shaking the ground. Just then, Bone Lord and Birdman cried out in pain as they were struck down. They came flying and hit the cave wall with a solid impact. Weak and desperate, Bone Lord admitted to Subai that he was powerless here. Worried, Birdman suggested that maybe they should retreat. Iron Arms mocked Yin-yun, calling her the once great artifact king who had now fallen so low. Without hesitation, Bronze Legs ordered Iron Arms to stop talking and kill them. Seeing them coming, Yin-yun urged Subai to run, warning that their power had grown dangerous and unpredictable. But Subai stood firm, gripping his sword that burned with energy. Seeing that, Bronze Legs charged forward, scoffing at the glowing sword. He boasted that a single sword could never stop him, and shouted that he would break it in half with one kick. But as his leg met the blade, the fiery sword cut straight through. Bronze Legs screamed in shock, grabbing his bleeding leg. His eyes widened in disbelief as he cried out that this couldn't be happening. Seeing that, Bone Lord and Birdman shouted with excitement. They declared that their master's sword was no ordinary weapon. It was a divine blade. Not even the strength of Iron Arms or Bronze Legs could withstand its power. With great zeal, they praised their master, chanting that all should hail the sovereign. Bronze Legs, cloaked in black, suddenly cried out that he surrendered, yet he arrogantly added that if he chose to flee, no one could possibly stop him. Hearing that, Subai only smiled calmly and took out a rope from his inventory. Without hesitation, he lashed out the rope. The strike was swift and precise, binding the fleeing Bronze Legs. Bronze Legs fell hard to the ground, groaning in pain as he was dragged back. Desperately, Bronze Legs struggled against the ropes, but no matter how much force he used, the bindings held firm. Damn it, he thought, panic filling his chest. What kind of monster is this? It's like crashing into an iron wall. Seeing that, Yin-yun was shocked, realizing that despite Bronze Legs' strength being equal to hundreds of thousands of pounds, he could not break even a single thread. Subai stood tall with the rope still in his hand, his calm expression making the struggle of his opponent seem meaningless. He then gripped the rope tightly in his hand, and Bronze Legs screamed in fear. Subai explained that the rope he held was normally used to tie up his ox, but today, it would be used to bind his opponent instead. He told him to consider it an honor. Seeing Bronze Legs tremble, Yin-yun, in shock, questioned Subai. What kind of ox would need such a rope? Unable to believe it, scared Iron Arms stammered, asking Subai if it was a joke. Hearing Subai's words, Lin Wangchu's eyes widened as memories surfaced. She recalled a heavenly savage ox, a divine beast at the Tribulation Passage realm. The realization struck her. It was the immortal binding rope, but she couldn't understand why she remembered such a thing. None of it made sense to her. Struggling on the ground, Bronze Legs glared up, demanding that Subai fight him properly without the cursed rope holding him down. But Subai didn't listen. He swung his sword. Blood splattered across the battlefield as a fierce strike landed. Subai's commanding voice called out, ordering Bone Lord and Birdman to devour the fallen enemy's soul. Immediately, Bone Lord and Birdman took Bronze Leg's soul. Bone Lord praised Subai, saying the master's sword was unstoppable, capable of cutting down even the strongest defenses. Birdman declared that following the new master was the best choice he had ever made. Bone Lord laughed darkly, savoring the soul of Bronze Legs, which was nearly at the Golden Core realm. He said it was delicious, and with their new master, they could feast 8 times a day. Watching this terrifying scene, Yin-yun's heart raced. She wondered what kind of power Subai had awakened. His strength seemed unimaginable, far beyond what she had ever expected. Even Iron Arms trembled as cold sweat ran down his face. He realized the thread was far too powerful, and even the sword in Subai's hand felt strange. Fear filled his heart. He realized that there was no way they could win. Absolutely no way. Iron Arms approached Subai from behind, each step heavy and intimidating. Unable to hold back his fear, Iron Arms fell to his knees and begged. He admitted he had been blind to such overwhelming strength and pleaded for mercy. Desperate to save himself, he offered the Divine Heaven Staff, the weapon he and Bronze Legs had once fought over. But Subai only looked down at him, unimpressed. He said he had preferred him back when he was arrogant and defiant. Confused, Iron Arms turned to pick up what he thought was the Divine Heaven Staff, but to his shock, it was only a rotten stick. His eyes widened in disbelief as he shouted, demanding to know where his real weapon had gone. Subai explained to him that he was caught in an illusion. The so-called Divine Heaven Staff had never been real. Rage and confusion twisted Iron Arms' face. He crushed the stick and roared, demanding to know who had cast such an illusion on them. Subai pointed toward the wall of the cave and revealed that the one responsible was hidden inside. With a calm but commanding voice, he ordered them to break the wall. Yunbin and Little Snow, soaking in the spring, noticed the noise in the distance. Little Snow remarked that it seemed their master had already subdued those two men. Yunbin smirked with confidence. After absorbing the energy of the spiritual spring, he had broken through to the Golden Core realm. He thought about how troublesome his master had been before, but now, with his newfound strength, he could kill them effortlessly with just a flick of his wrist. Meanwhile, the wall of the cave shattered open as iron arms struck through it, revealing the way forward. On the other side stood Yunbin in a blue robe with Little Snow. Subai pointed towards them and told Iron Arms that those two were the ones who had trapped him in an illusion. With a calm tone, he ordered him to go and kill them. Enraged, Iron Arms roared that he did not hit women, so the man in blue would die first. With fury, he charged forward. He swung his fists at Yunbin, shouting that anyone who dared to use illusions on him deserved death. But to his shock, Yunbin dodged all his punches by moving so fast that Iron Arms couldn't land a hit. Suddenly Little Snow took out golden coins that flitted in the air. Little Snow, with long red hair, raised her hand and formed a spell sign with her fingers. Golden coins burst from her, filling the space with dazzling power. The attack hit Iron Arms directly. The explosion of energy sent him staggering back, smoke rising from his body as his armor cracked and burned. He struggled to stay on his feet, groaning in pain, before crashing to the ground face first, blood spilling from his mouth. Yin-Yun watched in shock. She whispered that the power she had just seen was unbelievable. Lin Wangqiu said it was coins falling from the sky, but she couldn't understand why it felt strangely familiar. Yunbin and Little Snow stepped forward together. Yunbin called to Subai, "Master, it has been a long time." Little Snow admitted the same, but noted with regret that their reunion had begun with violence. Suddenly she noticed Lin Wangqiu standing behind Subai. Little Snow questioned Lin Wangqiu. Why was her senior sister standing behind their master instead of using her sword technique to strike his heart? Confusion spread in Lin Wangqiu's mind as the words, "senior brother" and "junior sister" echoed. Immediately Lin Wangqiu clutched her head, crying out in pain, unable to understand who these people really were. Hearing their conversation, Yin-Yun realized in shock that Subai was being called their master. She wondered what kind of strange organization could have such complicated relationships. Inside the Soul Banner, Bone Lord and Birdman recognized Yunbin too. Bone Lord exclaimed that Yunbin had been the master of their previous master. Birdman was equally shocked to hear their previous master's master call Subai master. Subai's expression grew cold as he demanded answers. He asked Yunbin if the plan to kill him during his tribulation had been his doing, and if he had also manipulated that glasses guy. Anger flared in Subai's heart as he reminded Yunbin that he had raised him for over 867 years, only to be betrayed. But Yunbin dismissed the questions and suggested they draw their swords instead. Little Snow stepped forward, her presence commanding and dangerous. As she flitted in the air, she told her senior sister that she should stand by their side, otherwise she too would be eliminated. Little Snow was shocked and confused, her eyes narrowing as she saw something unexpected. Lin Wangqiu, standing confidently with determination, had stepped forward to protect Subai. Little Snow was stunned because she hadn't expected such defiance. The air grew tense as they faced each other. Little Snow shouted angrily, demanding if Lin Wangqiu even knew the kind of terrible things the Subai she was protecting had done. But Lin Wangqiu, standing firm, glared back and replied that from her point of view, they were the true wrongdoers. Her voice was filled with conviction. Even though she hadn't known Subai for long, Lin Wangqiu declared her faith in him. She shouted that if anyone wanted to harm him, they'd have to go through her first. Her courage infuriated Little Snow, who snapped back in rage, summoning her coins of power and shouting that Lin Wangqiu was asking for death. Just then, Yin-Yun suddenly jumped in front of Lin Wangqiu, blocking the incoming attack with swift movements. Coins spun wildly in the air after getting hit by her weapon. Yin-Yun grinned mischievously, saying she loved drama and fights. How could she miss such excitement? Then she taunted Little Snow, asking what kind of grudge she had with her own master. Hearing that, Little Snow glared ahead, holding glowing coins between her fingers. In an angry voice, she said that no one should dare pry into her affairs. As power surged from her hands, she shouted fiercely, telling Yin-Yun to ask her questions in the underworld instead. She released a storm of golden coins that shot forward with deadly force. Yin-Yun quickly raised her wooden staff and began spinning it rapidly, blocking the incoming coins. Her staff was a treasure, but she soon realized with worry that it was about to break under the intense pressure. Meanwhile, Subai stood silently nearby, watching Iron Arms lay motionless on the cracked ground. He then raised his staff high and commanded Iron Arms to come into his banner. A green light surrounded Iron Arms' body, pulling him into Subai's banner. His sudden arrival surprised Bone Lord and Birdman. Inside, Iron Arms looked around in shock, finding himself between two intimidating figures, the Bone Lord and Birdman. Still confused, Iron Arms asked what this 10,000 souls banner was. Subai said in a cold voice that if Iron Arms became his servant, he would be granted an undying body. Hearing that, Bone Lord clicked his tongue and said they had gained another comrade. Birdman crossed his arms and complained that it was just another mouth to feed. Iron Arms looked around in disbelief, feeling his body again. He couldn't believe he had been revived. He wondered if these two strange figures were now his companions. Clenching his metallic fists, Iron Arms shouted with determination that being a servant was fine. As long as he lived, there would always be a chance to rise again. Watching all this, Subai reflected on his past life. Back then, he had ruled through strict orders and harsh discipline, which caused his followers to betray him. But this time, he wanted to change. He decided that true leadership was about balancing kindness and authority. He faced his new servants and spoke sincerely, telling them that even though they were bound to serve him, he also saw them as his friends. He promised fair rewards for their efforts in battle, and vowed not to mistreat those who proved capable. Hearing that, all three of them knelt together, showing their loyalty. They shouted that they would devote their bodies and souls to their sovereign. Iron Arms also nodded with a faint smile, thinking to himself that these new companions seemed trustworthy. Then, as the next fight began, Subai summoned all three of them and gave quick orders. Birdman, protect Yin. Bone Lord, deal with Little Snow. Iron Arms, come with me. We'll fight Yunbin together. They all responded at once, ready for battle. Yin swung her staff fiercely, refusing to back down. Birdman joked that she should hide behind their sovereign, but she scoffed and shouted that she needed no protection. She clashed with Little Snow, her strikes breaking through waves of spinning coins. Just then, Bone Lord swung his huge mace to attack her, but Little Snow jumped and dodged his strike. Looking at Subai, she thought he truly was a demonic pathmaster, one who even used the 10,000 souls banner. With anger in her voice, she said she would destroy the banner's spirits first. Little Snow glared forward, her hands glowing with golden energy as lightning crackled around her. With a smirk, she asked Subai if he still remembered this move. Raising her hand, she gathered energy, forming a massive glowing copper coin above her. She swung her arm down with force, using her treasure-fall technique. The giant coin descended with crushing power. Bone Lord below tried to resist but groaned in pain. He could barely hold himself up as the heavy coin pressed him down. This coin, it weighs more than Mount Tai, he struggled to say, his strength nearly giving out. Meanwhile, Iron Arms charged at Yunbin, shouting angrily, "You're the one who cast illusions on me! Take this fist!" He launched a powerful punch, but Yunbin didn't even dodge. He just stared at him with his white eyes. Iron Arms' eyes widened in shock as his body suddenly froze. He fell to the ground, confused and unable to move. Yunbin then looked at Subai and mocked, saying, "Master, have you fallen so low as to let trash lead your charge?" The iron-armed man twitched on the ground, furious and embarrassed, asking Yunbin who he was calling trash. But Yunbin completely ignored him and took out a sword. Holding it firmly, he acknowledged his teacher Subai's skill, admitting that everything he knew about swordsmanship came from him. With a determined look, he proposed a duel and suddenly attacked Subai with a powerful strike. The force of his swing tore through the ground, radiating energy. Lin Wangqiu nearby watched in shock. She was amazed that such a simple sword move could carry so much power. Subai also took out his phoenix sword and explained to Lin Wangqiu that this technique was called sword fall, a blade empowered by spiritual energy. He told her that it could destroy everything in its path, and he called it the ultimate sword. He told her that to counter it required the sword wall, where he swings his sword 360 degrees to create a formation of countless blades forming an unbreakable defense. "This," he said, "is what I call the toughest shield." The clash between Yunbin's sword and Subai's sword shield filled the air with explosive force. Seeing that, Lin Wangqiu was stunned. She whispered that both techniques, the ultimate sword and the toughest shield, were incredible. However, she was worried that her master's cultivation was weaker than his opponent's. But suddenly, she held her head in pain, feeling strange memories flooding her mind. She couldn't understand what kind of memories they were. She was too confused, and her mind began to overload. Seeing that, Yunbin realized Lin Wangqiu's memories were returning. He smiled and gathered a surge of power, lightning flashing around him as he descended with a sharp blade strike. He shouted to his master, Su Bai, eager to prove his progress. Multiple swords surrounded him like a storm, their edges glowing with red energy as he charged forward. But Su Bai's shield blocked them, yet that wasn't Yunbin's real attack. With a fierce swing, he unleashed his true strike. With full power, he attacked again, but Su Bai's blade shield formed once more, blocking his assault. Su Bai remained still, his expression calm as the swords neared him. But before reaching Su Bai, Yunbin's sword suddenly stopped. Su Bai glanced at him, and with a smile, told Yunbin that his sword was sharp, but too fragile to withstand true strength. Seeing Su Bai stop his attack, Yunbin's eyes widened in disbelief. The next second, his blade shattered, and he was sent flying, crashing into the ground with a cry of pain. Seeing that, Lin Wangqiu was stunned. She praised Su Bai's incredible skill, realizing how deep and unfathomable his strength truly was. Yin Yun joined in, saying that even the most powerful sword could not pierce Su Bai's defense. His power stood far above their imagination. Even Little Snow was stunned, her eyes fixed on Su Bai. She thought to herself that their master was, as always, full of surprises. But then, she scolded herself for such thoughts. How could she admire someone like him? No matter how powerful their master was, his wickedness could never be forgiven. He deserved death. From behind, Bone Lord, still buried under Little Snow's silver coin, let out a mocking laugh. He told her she could say whatever she wanted, but deep down, Su Bai would always remain her master. But suddenly, Yunbin, who was on the ground, grinned. He asked Su Bai, didn't he teach him that in battle, everything is fair? Saying that, Yunbin called back all the pieces of his broken sword that had fallen behind Su Bai. Su Bai was shocked by his move, and looked back, but it was already too late. Before he could fully dodge, those sword pieces struck, and a sharp cut sliced across his face, leaving a thin trail of blood. His eyes widened in surprise. He turned to Yunbin and shouted angrily, "Wretched disciple! I taught you honor. Where did you learn such underhanded tricks?" Saying that, he raised his staff to cast the banner shield. Yunbin, however, only smirked, and replied that results were all that mattered, not the methods. As his sword pieces reassembled and completed his blade, he raised it for a decisive strike. Charging forward, he declared that this blow was unavoidable. Su Bai looked up, seemingly unable to dodge. Seeing that, Lin Wangqiu screamed in fear, crying out for him not to be struck. Even Bone Lord panicked, realizing that at such close range, there was no way their master could escape. Birdman feared they would all be doomed alongside him, but Little Snow was shocked at how low her senior brother Yunbin had stooped. Yet deep down, she convinced herself it didn't matter. If it killed their master, then it was justified. Just as Yunbin's deadly strike was about to hit Su Bai, metallic arms blocked the sword. It was iron arms. Seeing him, everyone was stunned. Yin Yun was shocked, wondering how he was still standing. Even Little Snow's eyes widened as she realized that Iron Arms had broken free from her senior brother's suppression. Iron Arms struggled to block the incoming strike, gritting his teeth as sparks of lightning erupted from the clash. Sweat dripped down his face as he groaned in pain, trying to hold his ground. Yunbin stared at him in disbelief. He couldn't comprehend how a simple mutant from this world could resist his golden core-level suppression. Gathering his strength, Iron Arms clenched his fists tightly and shouted with determination. Though he resented being bound as a servant, he couldn't stand idly by, not against the one who had once killed him, and not when his current master believed in him. Summoning all his power, he roared, vowing to fight with everything he had. With his iron fist, he struck forward, declaring that his fists would never bow to anyone's commands. With a powerful blow, he sent Yunbin crashing into the ground, the impact shaking the battlefield and scattering debris everywhere. Seeing that, Bone Lord grew motivated, and his body began to heat up. Energy surged through him as he stood up. With a thunderous roar, he declared his name, saying he would break free. His glowing eyes flared with determination as he raised his arms and lifted Little Snow's silver coin. Little Snow, standing nearby, stared in shock, realizing that a ghost had broken free from her treasure-fall coins, something she thought impossible. Before she could react, Birdman descended from behind, telling Bone Lord it had his back and urging him to attack together. Bone Lord and Birdman roared in unison, unleashing a surge of power as they charged toward Little Snow, ready to strike. Seeing them coming, Little Snow got angry, annoyed by their vulgar words. She muttered that their foul mouths were both amusing and irritating at the same time. With determination, she raised her glowing coin and clashed head-on with Bone Lord. Their powers collided in a burst of light, the impact sending shockwaves rippling through the area. Meanwhile, Yunbin, though injured, stood firm on the cracked ground. admitting that breaking free from enslavement showed how impressive Iron Arm's strength was. He then, with cold fury, promised that next time, he would make Iron Arms beg for death. He raised his sword, creating multiple shining illusions. 48 shadow swords in total, each one as deadly as a real blade. Iron Arms tried to block, but the overwhelming assault sent him crashing into a rock wall. He coughed in pain, unable to withstand the storm of strikes. Then, out of nowhere, a glowing rope shot through the air. Yunbin's eyes widened in shock as he recognized it. The immortal binding rope, something strong enough to restrain even sky oxen. He couldn't understand why such a powerful item was here. Before he could react, the rope wrapped tightly around his body, binding him completely. Behind him stood Subai, holding the rope firmly, ready to strike again. Seeing Yunbin restrained, Iron Arms thanked Subai respectfully before turning toward Yunbin, who was still bound tightly by the rope. Gathering power in his fist, he charged forward with determination. His expression turned fierce as he punched Yunbin with full force, sending him flying backward. Without giving Yunbin time to react, Iron Arms unleashed a flurry of punches, striking repeatedly with incredible speed. Each hit landed powerfully, shaking the ground beneath them. Watching from a distance, Lin Wangqiu cheered loudly, saying she saw everything. Yin Yun smirked confidently. She believed Iron Arms' fists would completely crush their foe. But suddenly, Iron Arms stopped as he noticed something strange. The body of Yunbin started to look unusual. His skin seemed rough and lifeless. Kneeling down, Iron Arms frowned and said something felt wrong, because Yunbin didn't look human anymore. He looked like clay. Subai immediately realized that Yunbin was using a nascent soul technique, one that allowed him to manifest his spirit. However, he also understood that performing such a technique while still at the golden core level came with a heavy cost. Suddenly, Yunbin's spirit emerged from the clay and smirked. He challenged Subai, asking if the so-called master had the courage to face him directly. He mocked Subai for relying on ghosts and artifacts during battle. Drawing his weapon, he glared fiercely and shouted in anger, demanding how someone so cowardly as Subai could ever dare to call himself his master. Yunbin stood tall, his sword pointed forward, while Lin Wangqiu shouted for Subai not to be provoked. Hearing that, Yunbin turned in anger and yelled at her, saying his junior sister was too noisy. In an instant, he swung his sword with fury, sending a sharp strike toward Lin Wangqiu that knocked her back violently. She screamed as the attack was far too sudden to dodge. Yin Yun, watching from the side, sensed a chilling bloodlust filling the air. Her eyes widened. She could feel the killing intent behind that sword strike. Nearby, Bone Lord clenched his weapon tightly, realizing the power of the attack. He muttered that even he couldn't block such a sword and feared the worst, thinking the master's woman was doomed. However, before the sword could reach its target, Subai swiftly reacted and threw his sword. Seeing that, Yunbin laughed, saying the sword that was thrown couldn't possibly block his attack. Just then, a golden coin-shaped artifact flew through the air, glowing brightly. It intercepted the attack, shattering the sword's momentum and saving Lin Wangqiu just in time. Seeing that, Yunbin's expression twisted in disbelief, and he looked back. From behind, Little Snow stepped forward, reminding Yunbin that the one he attacked, Lin Wangqiu, was their junior sister. But Yunbin only glared back coldly, saying that a junior sister who protected the master was useless to him. Hearing that, Little Snow stared at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend what she had just seen. Her senior brother had actually attacked their junior sister. His actions felt foreign and unfamiliar, as if he were no longer the person she once knew. Realizing what he had done, Yunbin looked startled and quickly tried to calm himself. He admitted that he had lost control in the heat of the moment. He turned to Little Snow and thanked her for blocking the sword. He said that if not for her, he might have seriously injured their junior sister, Wangqiu, and couldn't have forgiven himself. Hearing that, Little Snow looked at him with softer eyes, thinking that he was still the senior brother she respected. As they were talking, a loud splash echoed as Subai's sword plunged into the spirit spring. Everyone watched in shock as ripples spread across the surface. Yin Yun gasped, realizing that Subai hadn't blocked the sword for Lin Wangqiu. Instead, he had thrown it into the spirit spring. Bone Lord questioned the purpose of such an act, something he had never heard of before. Even Yunbin let out a mocking laugh, facing Subai with a twisted grin. He asked if his master had gone mad, his tone filled with disbelief and ridicule. But as he stood by the spring, suddenly the water rippled strangely. His sharp gaze followed the disturbance as the surface began to tremble. Suddenly, the spirit spring's surface erupted in blinding light as a massive burst of fiery energy shot upward. From within the explosion, a majestic phoenix made of golden flames emerged, spreading its wings wide and illuminating the entire canyon. The onlookers stared in shock. Its power was overwhelming. Birdman was shocked to see a real phoenix. Bone Lord trembled, realizing it wasn't an illusion, but a real phoenix carrying an aura from ancient times. Yin Yun stared at the fiery creature, wondering if it had come from the sword. She remembered trying to absorb that very sword before, and smirked at the thought. Seeing the phoenix, Yunbin was stunned. He couldn't believe a phoenix of such scale had manifested. The spiritual energy in this world shouldn't have been enough to summon something this powerful, yet the impossible was happening before his eyes. The spirit spring glowed brightly under the wings of the fiery phoenix that soared above it. Subai stepped forward and told them that a spirit spring shouldn't exist in a world with such weak spiritual energy. But if it did exist, it must mean the spring had a guide. He continued explaining that there were only two substances capable of guiding spiritual energy: the spirit rhinoceros crystal and the guiding mist. Since the guiding mist was condensed from pure spiritual energy, something that shouldn't exist in this world, the only possibility was the spirit rhinoceros crystal. Lin Wangqiu seemed thoughtful, as Subai mentioned that the spirit rhinoceros crystal was useless to humans, but extremely valuable for nurturing divine weapons, one of the top 3 substances for that purpose. Little Snow watched her master, and couldn't help but admire him. Even though he had committed countless wrongs, his wisdom and insight still fascinated her deeply. The phoenix above them spread its wings wide, blazing with divine fire. Its golden flames filled the sky as it shot a fireball toward the ground, engulfing everything in searing light. Yunbin tried to withstand the heat, but the phoenix's fire was overwhelming. The holy flames were so intense that even coming close made one feel like melting. He called it the Flame Phoenix Holy Fire, a power so fierce that even a single touch could dissolve everything it touched. As the fiery phoenix raged across the battlefield, Yunbin realized their situation was hopeless. He shouted for Little Snow to retreat, admitting that they couldn't win against such power. They turned to flee, but before they could escape, a whip-like weapon lashed out from Subai's soul banner, binding Yunbin tightly. The immense force pulled him down, the ground shaking beneath him as he struggled to break free. The flames surrounded him, and the intense heat made it difficult to breathe. But suddenly, Yunbin's body turned into clay, and he escaped from the whip. As he ran away, his face twisted in frustration, and he muttered under his breath that his master had managed to survive yet another day. Seeing that, Yin Yun questioned why Subai didn't chase and finish them off. Lin Wangqiu agreed with her, saying that missing such a chance would make things harder in the future. Subai, still holding his sword, looked at the fading flames and calmly replied that nurturing a divine weapon didn't mean it had fully regained its true power. As the fiery phoenix's form loomed above them, he revealed the truth. The magnificent display had been nothing more than a bluff. As Subai stood calmly, holding his sword glowing with fiery energy, the golden phoenix spread its wings and entered the blade. The radiant light filled the cavern, making the air hum with divine heat. From a distance, Bone Lord watched, admiring his master's strategy. He remarked that his master's understanding of human nature was remarkable, using such a perfect bluff to scare the enemies away without even fighting. Birdman said it was a brilliant empty fort strategy, proving once again how formidable his master truly was. Then Subai turned toward Iron Fist and thanked him for his hard work. Hearing that, Iron Fist was stunned. As a servant whose life could be taken at any moment, he never expected his master to thank him sincerely. Soon after, the group approached the spirit spring. Subai dipped his feet into the glowing water, feeling its warmth ripple around him. As Subai sat inside, he told the others to join in, explaining that 1 hour in the spirit spring was equal to 3 months of cultivation. Hearing that, Yin Yun's eyes sparkled with excitement. She couldn't believe what she heard and exclaimed in joy, realizing that despite being the mighty weapon king, she had only been protected during the battle. Now, she had a chance to grow stronger. Determined, she shouted that she needed to break through and hurriedly jumped toward the spring, declaring loudly that she was coming. But as she leaped toward the spirit spring to jump in, Subai calmly explained that the spring wasn't ordinary. It was a non-Newtonian fluid, soft when touched gently, but hard when met with force. Before she could process his words, she hit the water's surface with full force. The surface instantly hardened, and she crashed painfully onto it with a loud thud, letting out a cry of pain. Lying on the water's surface, she groaned in frustration, scolding Subai for not warning her earlier. The others sat nearby watching her, some amused, others silent. Determined not to lose face, she pushed herself up, muttering that she wouldn't fall for anyone's smooth talk. Meanwhile, Bone Lord and Birdman soaked in the spirit spring nearby, steam rising around them. They let out satisfied sighs, saying it felt like millions of ants were crawling through their bones and that their nerve cells were growing rapidly. At a distance, Iron Fist watched Subai quietly. He thought about how strange it felt to serve someone after being his own master for so long, but to his surprise, he realized that following Subai didn't feel bad at all. Inside the spring, Yin-Yun relaxed as the warmth spread through her body. The pain she had felt before disappeared, replaced by a tingling sensation. Her eyes glimmered as she sensed her power stirring once more. She was on the verge of a breakthrough. Lin Wangchu sat at the edge of the spirit spring, her expression firm with determination. She clenched her fists and told herself that she needed to awaken too. She couldn't keep holding Subai back. As her feet touched the glowing water, a wave of warmth spread through her body. She gasped softly, feeling both surprised and comforted by the strange sensation. Her entire body began to react, as if something deep inside her was awakening. Immediately, memories started to surface. Visions of Subai's teachings filled her mind. She remembered his lessons, their battles together, slaying demons and exorcising evil across the land. The scenes grew darker. Corpses piled high, natural disasters ravaged the world, and countless lives were lost. Her eyes snapped open, trembling as realization struck her. The man she admired, Subai, appeared in her memories not as a savior, but as the cause of endless calamity. Her voice shook as she muttered his name. Then, in a moment of awakening clarity, she corrected herself. He wasn't just Subai. He was her master. Anger surged within her. She stood up in the water, glaring fiercely. In her mind, she accused him of spreading chaos, causing disasters, and making millions homeless. In fury, she called him what she now believed him to be, a demon. As the energy within the spirit spring surged, Subai opened his eyes, sensing a shift inside his body. The system window appeared before him. His realm had advanced to the early golden core stage. A faint smile formed as he realized he had finally broken through. Golden light pulsed within his body. The energy channels inside him felt smoother, his senses sharper. Everything around him, every sound, every ripple, felt clearer and more alive than ever before. He looked around and noticed the others in the spring, his servants and undead. Their emotions and thoughts seemed to echo faintly in his mind. He could sense their contentment, their acceptance of him as their master. He nodded slightly, realizing that to lead them properly, one needed both kindness and authority, reward and discipline. That balance, he thought, was the key to control. Just then, his calm expression shifted as he noticed Lin Wangchu nearby. She stared at him with a troubled look, her hand trembling slightly. A sudden memory and confusion clouded her gaze. She stood up, clenching her teeth. The aura around her flared as she called out her weapon. Flames burst forth, and her sword materialized with a flash. "Phoenix Cry!" she shouted, her killing intent filling the air. She raised the weapon, pointing it at Subai. Her voice was sharp and trembling with anger. She called Subai master, then corrected herself and called him a demon, saying he should have died long ago. Lin Wangchu's eyes burned with fury as she lunged forward, her weapon igniting in brilliant flames. She screamed for him to give her his life, the fiery aura swirling around her like wings of destruction. Subai stood calmly in the spring, watching her approach. The heat from her attack rippled through the air, shaking the ground beneath them. Nearby, the others reacted in shock. Yin-Yun gasped, unable to believe what she was seeing. She couldn't understand what was going on. Why was little sister Lin attacking Mr. Subai? Iron Fist was equally stunned and shouted that she was just an ordinary person a moment ago. How did she suddenly become so powerful? Even the Bone Lord, usually fearless, began to panic. He turned to Birdman, saying their master might not be able to block that strike. Birdman nodded nervously, saying it was over. They were doomed again. Seeing Lin Wangchu coming, Subai analyzed the situation calmly. Lin Wangchu had just regained her past memories, and her current strength should have only reached the foundation establishment stage. However, her sword, Phoenix Cry, was her personal weapon, and it had just absorbed the spirit rhinoceros crystal, making it far more powerful than before. He realized this attack was overwhelming. The sword strike was too strong for him to block in his current state, unless he took a desperate measure. His eyes hardened with resolve. He thought that if he couldn't stop her attack any other way, he would self-destruct his golden core and rebuild it later. That was his only option. As Lin Wangchu lunged forward with blazing energy, her sword roared with fiery power. Subai got ready to face it head-on. He released his power, the entire spring erupting in a surge of light and flames. But just at the moment of impact, Lin Wangchu's strength suddenly vanished, and her body went limp, falling unconscious before she could understand what had happened. Subai stood there unharmed, the flames fading around him. In the distance, Iron Fist stared in disbelief, seeing that she had just fainted. Still tense from the battle, he sighed in relief, saying he had been ready to sacrifice himself to block her sword, only for the fight to end just like that. Subai stood calmly at the edge of the spirit spring, looking down at the unconscious Lin Wangchu floating on the water. Her weapon still rested in her hand. Turning to Bone Lord, Subai ordered him to go check what trick she was up to. Bone Lord nodded. It stepped forward, lowering its bony hand into the water to inspect her condition. After a moment, Bone Lord raised its head and spoke in a deep voice, telling Subai that her brain's neural pathways had been blocked. That's what caused her to lose consciousness. It seemed to be some kind of mental control technique. Hearing that, Subai's eyes narrowed. Mental control, he repeated quietly, piecing it together. He then remembered Shen Yunbin, the man who had mastered the dark art of manipulating others' minds. Subai thought he should thank Shen Yunbin for this, as he had perfected the evil cultivation's neural control technique. Subai reached down and grabbed Lin Wangchu's sword. His expression turned cold, and he pointed the sword toward Lin Wangchu, thinking that since her memories had returned, there was no reason to keep her around. He raised the sword, the sharp edge reflecting a dim light. But before he could act, his companion's loud cry echoed through the air, asking him to stop. Yin Yun and Iron Fist rushed forward, eyes wide in panic. They stood in front of Lin Wangchu, begging Subai to reconsider. Yin Yun pleaded while spreading her arms in front of Lin Wangchu, telling Subai that if he wanted to kill her, then he should kill her first, because she believed Lin Wangchu didn't mean to attack him. Hearing that, Subai paused, his eyes flickering slightly as he looked at her desperate expression. Subai's eyes grew cold as he let out a sharp snort. With a flick of his hand, he tossed the sword aside, the blade striking the rocks with a loud clang. He turned slightly, his voice calm, but filled with killing intent. He said that once he left the spirit spring, the next time he saw Lin Wangchu would be the moment he killed her. Without another glance, he ordered Bone Lord, Birdman, and Iron Fist to follow him. Lightning surged around him as he took out his soul banner, his followers gathering behind him. As Subai moved forward, his thoughts darkened. Both Lin Wangchu and Little Snow had accused him of committing countless evils. Yet he, an immortal lord, had never done such things. He hadn't saved every being, but neither had he harmed them. He believed Shen Yunbin had framed him more than anyone else. Subai then jumped into the spirit spring. Once underwater, his expression turned grim. He thought about his ungrateful disciple Shen Yunbin, and those female disciples who had tried to kill him. If he didn't kill them, they would kill him first. Determined, he clenched his weapon tighter, thinking that since he needed more power, he would seize every chance to gain it. As he swam deeper, he noticed something strange. The spirit spring wasn't just a legend. Beneath its depths lay an entrance to other worlds. The unknown below shimmered with both danger and possibility. As he reached the ground, his eyes sharpened as glowing crystals illuminated the underwater path. He was shocked to see that place, his gaze fixed ahead as he descended into the mysterious realm. As Subai swam deeper into the glowing green depths of the spirit spring, the light of the crystals guided his way. The walls around him shimmered like jade, and ancient runes glowed faintly beneath the water. He reached out his hand and pressed it against the shining wall. The moment his palm touched it, the wall trembled and began to open, releasing waves of powerful spiritual energy. A strong current surrounded him, twisting and surging with force. The energy pulsed violently as his body endured the pressure. Subai clenched his teeth, holding firm against the storm of spiritual power. Suddenly, he felt a shock run through him and grunted in pain as light exploded around him. When the energy finally settled, he looked around in awe. The air was thick with spiritual energy, so dense it almost felt tangible. It was on the same level as the previous immortal realm. But soon, he realized something was wrong. The energy wasn't pure. It carried traces of poison. He narrowed his eyes, covering his mouth as he thought. He couldn't absorb this energy directly. Still, with his body's resistance, he could endure it for at least an hour. Just then, faint buzzing sounds echoed through the glowing mist. Subai lifted his head to see dozens of strange flying insects emerging from the energy clouds, their wings sharp, their eyes glowing red. The poisonous creatures had noticed his presence. Subai raised his soul banner and ordered Bone Lord to attack the incoming swarm. Bone Lord came out of the soul banner and roared in response, charging forward without hesitation. With his massive weapon, Bone Lord smashed through the air, shattering several flying creatures in a single swing. Each kill echoed with system notifications. As he killed advanced monsters, he gained 10,000 Souls Banner XP. The messages repeated rapidly, one after another. Subai noticed the change. Earlier, Killing corpse minions and regular monsters hadn't increased the 10,000 Souls banner's experience, but now the numbers were climbing. He realized the truth. These mosquito-like creatures were advanced class monsters, and there were countless of them swarming around. A faint smile formed on his lips as he muttered that this smelled good. Sensing the surge of energy in the air, he raised his weapon, the 10,000 Souls banner, as ghostly wails filled the space around him. The banner spun violently, drawing in the souls of the fallen monsters. Meanwhile, Bone Lord, Birdman, and Iron Fist devoured some of those monsters' souls. Iron Fist bit down on one of the creature's souls, green liquid spilling from his mouth. He laughed, saying this was delicious, and that it felt like his strength was growing again. Bone Lord looked out in excitement, saying he saw a huge batch up ahead. Subai's eyes glinted coldly as he raised his hand and ordered them to charge and kill them all. His army roared in excitement, rushing forward as the air filled with the sound of wings breaking and the cries of the damned. The 10,000 Souls banner began to glow brightly as its level rose to 6. A system message appeared, revealing its new ability. It could now pull in 100 souls at once, forcing them to battle among themselves until only the strongest remained. The victorious soul would then stabilize and take up a regular undead slot. Subai looked at the glowing banner and smiled, saying this was interesting. With energy swirling around him, he raised the banner high and commanded, "Spirits, come forth!" The 10,000 Souls banner unleashed a powerful force. Countless glowing mosquito-like spirits were pulled into an otherworldly space, their wings buzzing violently as they began to clash. One by one, they fought fiercely, struggling to devour each other until only the most powerful remained. Meanwhile, outside the spirit spring, in the cave glowing with a reddish hue, Yin-Yun rested quietly in the spring. Steam rose softly around her as she soaked in the warm water. Beside her, Lin Wangqiu was lying on the ground, but she slowly began to wake up. As she opened her eyes, she became cautious, her expression cold and serious. As she saw Yin-Yun still in the spring, she muttered under her breath, recognizing her as Yin-Yun, one of the people connected to that villain Subai. Her grip tightened around her sword's hilt as her thoughts darkened. She decided it would be safer to eliminate Yin-Yun first, before dealing with the main threat. But as she prepared to strike, a sudden wave of killing intent filled the cave. Yin-Yun sensed it instantly, her sharp eyes flashing open. She stared toward Lin Wangqiu, her calm replaced by focused alertness. In that moment, Yin-Yun realized Lin Wangqiu had changed. She was no longer the kind or innocent girl she once knew. Yin-Yun clenched her weapon underwater, annoyed at herself for saving Lin earlier. She thought she should have left her to Subai. Still, if Lin dared to attack, she was ready to strike back and break her leg in a single blow. Lin Wangqiu raised her sword, ready to act, but hesitation filled her mind. Her thoughts wavered. A villain is a villain, but Yin-Yun is Yin-Yun, so why can't I do it? Her hands trembled slightly as reason returned to her eyes. Lowering the blade, she whispered to herself that she couldn't recklessly kill the innocent, even in a world full of enemies. As Lin Wangqiu turned to leave the cave, Yin-Yun, still in the hot spring, looked up in surprise and asked where she was going. Lin didn't answer. Her steps were unsteady, her hand pressed against her head as she muttered in pain. She remembered the time Yunbin pointed his sword at her. Her expression darkened as she realized Yunbin was determined to kill her. Thinking of her past, Lin Wangqiu's heart twisted. She whispered about her senior brother, wondering if he truly wanted to kill her just because she had chosen to stand by her master. And yet, her evil master had held back when dealing with her. Her head throbbed again, and she clutched it in pain. The more she tried to think clearly, the more confusion clouded her thoughts. Emerging from the cave into the light, she gazed at the blue sky and spoke softly to herself. She called her master a villain, someone unforgivable, and convinced herself that if he lived, the world would fall into chaos. She repeated again and again that she should trust and follow her senior brother. Just then, cold laughter echoed through the air, familiar and eerie. Lin Wangqiu froze, her eyes widened as she recognized the voice. It was her senior brother's laughter. Pain shot through her head as the laughter grew louder, echoing endlessly in her mind. She screamed, clutching her temples in agony. Dark birds flew up from the forest below, scattering into the bright sky as Lin Wangqiu fell on the mountain path, unconscious. At the same time, in the spirit spring, as the 10,000 Souls banner spun in midair, violent energy surged throughout the area. The air trembled as countless souls trapped within the banner clashed against one another in a chaotic storm of power. Subai sat calmly at the center of it all, eyes closed, while his Bone Lord stood guard beside him. The battle between the gathered souls intensified, bright bursts of blue light erupting in every direction. Iron Fist raised his armored fist, protecting the area from the soul fragments flying out of control. Moments later, Subai opened his eyes and said calmly that the banner had already collected 100 souls. Any more would be useless, as these mosquito-like creatures no longer granted him experience. It was time to move on. He stood up, gripping the 10,000 souls banner tightly. Just then, the ground shook, and a strange sound echoed through the air. His eyes narrowed as something massive stirred in the distance. A swarm of glowing mosquitoes filled the space, parting to reveal a giant among them, a monstrous insect that radiated overwhelming pressure. Its wings buzzed like thunder, and countless lesser creatures hovered around it in perfect formation. Subai's expression hardened. Seeing that, Iron Fist shouted that it was a commanding-level beast, a creature capable of leading an entire swarm. Bone Lord could feel the creature's presence pressing down on them. He was amazed by the creature's strong aura. Immediately, the commanding-level mosquito beast charged forward, its sharp legs slicing through the air with deadly speed. Subai gripped his weapon tightly, his eyes narrowing as the massive insect lunged at him. But before it could touch Subai, Iron Fist stepped in to block the attack with his armored arms. The impact was too strong. His armored arm shattered under the force. He fell back, clutching his injured limb in pain, muttering through gritted teeth that his arm was broken. Bone Lord quickly moved beside Subai and spoke in a deep, urgent tone, warning that this place was not suitable for a prolonged fight. He advised his master to withdraw before the situation worsened. Subai stood silently for a moment, thinking. His poison resistance was nearing its limit, and staying longer could be dangerous. Still, his gaze hardened as he looked at the giant mosquito beast hovering before him. Leaving now would be the safe choice, but letting such a valuable creature escape would be a great loss. With determination burning in his eyes, Subai decided that abandoning this treasure would be truly regrettable. Looking at his summons, Subai felt that their bodies were getting weaker. He realized that they couldn't hold on much longer and had to leave first. He swung his soul banner underwater and summoned them back into the soul banner. Then, from that glowing wall of spiritual energy, he came out of that world. He swam toward the surface, thinking that this world was still very dangerous. He needed to become stronger. He needed to break through. But while he was going, suddenly a very bright light came out of the wall of spiritual energy. Seeing that, he wondered if the giant mosquito was still following him. Suddenly the giant mosquito broke through the wall and came into this world. But just as it entered this world, its large body shrank into a smaller form. Subai looked at the red mosquito and thought to himself that it must have been weakened when it crossed into this world. He smirked slightly at this. He then said that since the mosquito was already here, it should not think about escaping. He raised the banner in his hand and swung it forward, telling the mosquito to get inside the banner. A large space unfolded, and the red mosquito was pulled inside, where many other smaller mosquitoes were. Immediately, the red mosquito started attacking the other small mosquitoes. Subai watched and understood that the red mosquito was suppressed because of its bloodline. He looked at that world behind the spiritual wall and thought that there was still much he had not explored, but he decided to stop chasing other worlds for now. Instead, he wanted to find more spiritual caves so he could grow stronger. He remembered being called the villain by Lin Wangqiu and wondered why that was. He also questioned why Yunbin had betrayed him. To understand these things, he felt he needed even greater strength. While swimming upward through the water, he asked Iron Arms what commanding level meant. Iron Arms replied that he had a catalog and offered it so Subai could understand better. Subai opened the scroll and found detailed information about different factions, lone individuals, and spiritual caves. He was pleased and said that it was very useful. Later, he returned to the red water pool. Yanyun there asked where he had gone. He ignored the question and asked where Lin Wangqiu was. Yanyun replied that Lin Wangqiu had left about half an hour ago and mentioned that she had tried to kill her too earlier. Hearing that, Subai told Yinyun that once someone turns bad, they cannot return to how they were. Yinyun crossed her arms and said that it was good. Ling Wangkel did not act, or she would have killed her first. Subai got dressed and started walking out. From behind, Yinyun asked where they were going next. As they stepped out of the cave together, Subai told her that they were going to the next spiritual cave. Meanwhile, in the same mountain range, a group of hunters walked along the mountain road. One of them said that there was a place up ahead, and hoped they could find spirit stones to level up again. But then one of them pointed forward, saying someone was lying on the road. It was Lin Wangqiu. They moved closer, and saw a beautiful girl lying there in the middle of the path. Seeing that she was holding a sword, one of them said she must be a mutant. Their leader, a man in a mask, called out to the girl in white named Bai Yu. He told her that he found a mutant who had passed out and asked her to help. Bai Yu looked at Lin Wangqiu and suddenly stopped. Her eyes widened. She felt something familiar. It felt like there was some kind of fate connecting them. Bai Yushu placed her hand on Lin Wangchu's chest, and green healing energy flowed out. Yushu told her leader that this girl had suffered a mental injury and that her nerves were unstable, but she also said they were lucky because they found her in time. Suddenly, Lin Wangchu made a soft sound as she began to wake up. She slowly opened her eyes and let out a weak sound. She sat up on the ground, looking confused. She looked at the white-haired girl in front of her and called out to her, saying she was her junior sister. Yu looked surprised and asked if she was being called sister. She asked Lin Wangchu if she knew her name was Yu Yu. Hearing that, Lin Wangchu realized that Yu Yu had lost her memory too, just like her. But then she thought that forgetting things might not be such a bad thing. Yu helped Lin Wangchu stand up, explaining that she had been attacked mentally, and if they had not helped her, she might have gone insane. Then someone asked who could be so cruel as to attack her. Hearing that, Lin Wangchu suddenly remembered everything. She held her head and screamed. She shouted that her head hurt a lot. Seeing that, Yu told Lin Wangchu that this mental attack was very vicious. If she had not treated her, the attack would have killed her. Lin Wangchu remembered someone laughing, and realized that it was her senior brother. She said her senior brother wanted her dead. She looked at Yu and repeated that her senior brother wanted to kill her. She gave a strange laugh while saying it. Hearing that, Yu asked Lin Wangchu how she knew her name. She also asked who Lin Wangchu and this senior brother she mentioned were. Hearing that, Lin Wangchu looked troubled. She asked Yu what she should do. She wondered if she should trust her senior brother, or trust her master. Hearing this, Yu asked which one was good and which one was evil. Lin Wangchu looked down at the ground, and, with a deep voice, said that she didn't know anymore. Yu got confused hearing that. She told Lin Wangchu that she didn't fully understand what Lin Wangchu meant, but she knew that as mutants, their duty was to slay demons, uphold justice, and save the world. Hearing Lin Wangchu agreed. Her eyes became firm. Lightning formed around her body. She said that if she couldn't trust anyone else, then she would trust herself. She said she would fight beside Yu from now on, slaying evil and saving the world. Then Yu Pai's party leader, a man with a mask, introduced himself as Wang Zongyang. He welcomed Lin Wangchu to the Qingyang team. Lin Wangchu then introduced herself. The man in the mask said they would work together to kill evil spirits and save people. Lin Wangchu nodded and agreed to go with them. Then, as the group walked through a rocky path, Lin Wangchu thought the scene felt familiar. One of the men told her that there was a spirit cave ahead, and that spirit stones were inside. They asked her to come with them to pick spirit stones. Lin Wangchu answered softly that she would go. Meanwhile, at Yangshi City, in ruins, the sky was red, and the ground was covered in broken buildings and dust. Subai and Yun arrived there. But just as Yun looked at the city name sign, she got shocked, saying this was wrong. Hearing her, Subai got confused. He said that according to the map, the spiritual cave should be ahead. But Yun told him the place in front of them was Yangshi City. Hearing that, Iron Arms explained that Yangshi City was the first place where a disaster happened in the eastern province. Many people died, possibly over 1 million. More than 10 teams of powerful fighters came to help, but they were all killed. With a serious face, Iron Arms told them this place had become like hell on earth. But Subai didn't listen to them, and entered the city. Yun followed him, asking him to wait for her. She thought quietly to herself that she had gotten stronger recently, so she should be able to protect herself. Also because Subai was with her, she believed there was nothing to fear. Then suddenly zombies appeared. There were thousands of them. Seeing them, Yunjin thought that although these zombies were not very strong, their number was huge. But without any hesitation, Subai walked into the ruined city. Yunjin was very nervous because they had just entered the city. Suddenly, a message appeared in front of Subai, saying that the Ghoul cultivation was complete, and the Ghoul King had been created. It asked if he wanted to take it. He chose to accept it. Another message said the collection was complete, and now 1 ordinary undead had been collected out of 10. Hearing that, Subai lifted his soul banner and spoke to the Ghoul King, telling it to go. The Ghoul King, which looked like a large flying insect, flew out. It rushed into the crowd of zombies and began killing them. The zombies screamed as the Ghoul King attacked. Blood splattered everywhere. Bone Lord, watching from the soul banner, was shocked. He wondered if this was the master's new servant. He felt that the Ghoul King might even be stronger than him. Seeing the Ghoul King, Iron Arms realized that he still needed to train more. Yun watched as the Ghoul King killed all the zombies. She realized she didn't need to worry. She felt relieved. Subai looked at the Ghoul King in front and told it that it did well. He told the Ghoul King to come back into the banner, saying there would be a chance for it to become a powerful servant in the future. The Ghoul King entered the soul banner, and was put in a barrier. Looking at Bone Lord and the others, The Goo King wondered if it would become a true servant like the others around the master. It said that it would work hard for its master. Hearing this, Bone Lord, Birdman, and Iron Arms grew quiet, not knowing what to do. Then a hand suddenly came out from under broken stones. An old man climbed out and called out for Subai to wait. The old man ran toward them. He thanked Subai and Yingyun for saving them, but he warned them not to go forward any further, because it was dangerous ahead. Hearing that, Yingyun smiled and told the old man not to worry. She explained that they both had special powers, and they were very strong. The old man shook his head and said softly that they did not understand. The old man then explained to them that Yangshi City was the first city to fall after the apocalypse. He said that the monsters in the outer areas were just ordinary ones, but the deeper someone went into the city, the stronger the monsters became. He said that inside the city, there were monsters taller than buildings. He mentioned that there was once a team of 30 superpowered people who entered. They were strong and killed zombies easily, like cutting melons. However, that entire team was wiped out before they could even enter the middle of the city. The old man continued. He said that he once saw a very strong man and woman holding hands and running away like they were desperate. In the end, the man was hit by a monster and died, his body crushed into pulp. Hearing this, Yingyun looked at Subai, and while hesitating, asked quietly if they should retreat. Iron Arms told Subai that the danger ahead was extremely great. He said that the most important thing now was for Subai to improve his strength first. Subai listened to them all and then smiled slightly. Subai walked forward through the ruined city, saying that luck has always been like this. He said this was both an opportunity and also luck. In the distance, the old man watched them. He sighed and said that it was hard to convince a ghost with kind words. A child beside him called the old man grandfather, and asked if those two were also going to face the huge monster. The old man told the child to call everyone out. He said that since the zombies were killed, they were free and could leave. Hearing that, the children cheered loudly. They shouted that everyone was saved. Hearing the child's voice, more and more people came out from hiding and began to celebrate. They laughed and said that they were finally saved. They called for others to come out too. A large group of survivors gathered in the street. They shouted that they were saved and safe now. But suddenly, a man who was hiding in a cave shouted at the boy named Xiaodong, telling him that his real grandfather was still lying in the basement. The man in front of them was not his grandfather. He told them to come back quickly. Hearing that, Xiaodong turned and looked at the old man in confusion. He called out, asking if this person was really his grandfather. The old man lowered his head and suddenly smiled strangely. Then the old man's body changed. A monster inside him came out, with long tentacles forcing their way out of his mouth. The monster spoke, saying that they had finally come out and shown themselves. The monster's tentacles spread out as it revealed its true form, shouting that it was starving. A huge mutant monster appeared. Everyone panicked. They shouted that it was a mutant and they should run. People fled in fear, trying to escape as the monster's tentacles chased and surrounded them. Because they had gotten so close, they could not escape. People were being dragged and wrapped by the monster's tentacles. They shouted in fear, asking for help. The monster made a creepy laughing sound as it looked at them. Then the monster opened its mouth full of sharp teeth, tossed people into the air and bit down. Blood splashed everywhere, as the monster, extremely hungry, ate them all. Yingyun looked around the empty street. She lifted her head toward the tall buildings and said that the place smelled strongly of monsters. Even so, she noticed that there wasn't a single monster walking on the road. Her expression showed confusion as she stood ready with her weapon. Far ahead, Subai walked calmly with his weapon resting on his shoulder. Yingyun followed behind him, but the shadows of several monsters moved quietly around them. Yingyun suggested that they should take a detour, but Subai told her to hold on because they were almost there. Yingyun stepped forward with confidence. She said she was very brave and wanted to follow him even in a dangerous place like this. As she took another step, a monster hiding below grabbed her leg, its fingers wrapped tightly around her thigh. At that moment, a monster lunged forward with its mouth wide open, showing sharp teeth inside a dark circular throat. Its body twisted in the air as it prepared to attack. Yingyun looked around quickly as more monsters suddenly leaped from the buildings and the ground. Their bodies flew toward them from every direction. She realized what was happening and shouted that it was an ambush. Subai turned slightly, while Yingyun raised her weapon, surrounded by many monsters closing in fast from all sides. The air filled with swirling movement as the creatures rushed toward them. Subai immediately raised his soul banner and summoned the red mosquito, ordering it to go. The monsters rushed toward them, but Subai's summoned mosquito moved first. It shot forward and cut through the monsters in a single sweep. Bodies were thrown into the air as blood splashed across the road. A system message appeared in front of Subai, saying that killing an advanced monster gave him 10,000 points and more experience for his soul banner. He looked at the message and thought quietly. he realized every monster here was an advanced class. In other places, such monsters were treated like small bosses. But in this strange city they were no different from mosquitoes from another world. Subai smirked slightly as he understood what that meant. Since they were all advanced monsters, he simply needed to deal with them, one after another. With a firm voice, he ordered his other summons to kill again. His undead team of Bone Lord, Birdman, and Iron Fist charged forward with lightning covering their bodies. Birdman cried out loudly and flew into the sky. Its scream created a powerful sound wave that spread through the streets. The monsters below clutched their heads and screamed as the sonic attack shook the whole area. Sujai watched Birdman and smiled. He told it that its sonic power had become much stronger. The battlefield shook as the fight continued. Bone Lord rushed forward with his heavy armor and giant axe, smashing through the crowd of monsters. Above him, Birdman spread its glowing wings and released waves of spiritual sound, shaking the creature's minds. The mosquito creature moved quickly between enemies. Its movements were sharp and hard to follow, stabbing monsters from every angle. Beside it, Iron Fist blocked attacks with his metal arms and struck back with powerful punches. Their teamwork made the front line stable. Together, their cooperation looked surprisingly well balanced. The scene showed many monsters falling from their combined attacks. Not just them. Yin Yun also landed a solid hit on one of the creature's heads. The impact sent the monster flying. She looked around at the battlefield filled with low-level monsters. She stood behind Subai and asked calmly why they were wasting time killing such weak creatures. Subai did not answer immediately. Instead, he stepped forward. His hand gripped the soul banner tightly, and power began to surge around him. Lightning-like energy wrapped around his arm and the weapon. Suddenly, a huge burst of blue energy shot upward. It spread out like a storm, wiping out all the weak monsters in front of him. Bodies scattered, and the ground cracked under the force. In the middle of the explosion of power, Subai stood calmly holding the spear, surrounded by the bright blue glow. He finally spoke, saying that killing these creatures was meaningless, and that they were only clearing the path ahead. Then, as the dust settled, the view shifted to the tall buildings nearby. A quiet message appeared, hinting at the next goal, the second item. Another glowing system window floated above Subai, showing that the 10,000 Souls banner had leveled up to level 7. Subai looked pleased as he watched the message. He smiled lightly and thought that 1,000 monsters had been killed very quickly. Another system message appeared, explaining a new ability. It said that the banner could now refine the absorbed souls and turn them into energy that his servants could use. It also said that both Subai and his servants would gain some abilities from the refined souls. A large ancient cauldron appeared, releasing streams of bright blue energy that flowed upward like twisting water. The refining ability activated, pulling soul energy into the cauldron. Subai observed the change and realized this ability gave him even better ways to motivate his underlings. As the energy spread out, it wrapped around his summoned servants. Bone Lord clenched his fist and said he could feel his strength recovering quickly. Iron Fist also felt thrilled, saying it was more than recovery, he felt like he was improving. The Birdman flapped its glowing wings and happily let out loud quacking sounds, shouting that it felt extremely powerful and high in energy. Meanwhile, the mosquito creature flew into a horde of monsters and sliced through them, killing many in a single sweep. Blood sprayed everywhere as the creature tore through the enemies with increasing speed. It hoped that by doing so, it could eventually become Subai's official servant. On the other hand, Yen rushed forward with great speed. She swung her leg hard and kicked a large monster, sending blood flying in the air. After the fight, she stood in the battlefield with sweat on her skin. Her clothes were torn, and she held a wooden stick in her hand. She thought that all the constant killing had made her bones and muscles feel weak, but at the same time she felt her body finally absorb all the remaining spiritual spring. She wondered if this was Subai's true intention. She looked at Subai's back and with a smile thanked him for helping her grow. She then softly said his name, Subai, and declared in her mind that she, Chuan Yen Yun, would stay committed to him for the rest of her life. As she stood there, that old man from before called out to them from far away, shouting, "Young man!" The old man slowly walked toward them with a cane, wincing in pain, while the destroyed street and fallen bodies lay around him. Yen Yun turned, worried, and ran toward him while supporting his frail body. Subai looked back at them without speaking, while the old man struggled forward with a cane, groaning in pain. Yen Yun asked the old man why he had come. The old man replied that he simply couldn't leave them by themselves. With a tired smile, he told them that they were the strongest ability users he had ever met, but he warned them not to move any farther ahead. Subai listened to the old man in silence, his expression becoming serious. Then he turned away, gripping his soul banner, but his full attention was behind him on that old man. He told his summons to get ready for battle, and told the old man not to worry about them. The old man leaned heavily on his cane, his face strained with fear and exhaustion. Yin Yun stood beside him, protectively. As she tried to speak, something unexpected happened. A tentacle-like creature suddenly wrapped tightly around her upper body. Her eyes widened in shock, and she gasped. She stared at the monster restraining her, and shouted in disbelief. But before she could understand anything, she was suddenly grabbed by a thick tentacle. She let out a sharp cry as the tentacle wrapped around her waist and legs, pulling her upward. Her body twisted in the air while the creature dragged her closer. In the next moment, the huge monster opened its enormous mouth. Countless sharp teeth lined the inside of the dark hole. The tentacles pulled her closer and closer toward that gaping mouth as she struggled, biting down on one of the limbs in fear. Far below, Subai rushed forward. Blue lightning wrapped around his soul banner and crackled wildly as he prepared to attack. His body shot upward with incredible speed, surrounded by streaks of electricity. The soul banner extended forward, glowing brighter as he rose high into the sky. He struck downward with a powerful blow. His attack cut through the monster's tentacles, sending Yin flying out of its grasp. The giant creature's limbs split apart, shaking violently from the impact. Yin fell through the air, her body spinning, while Subai dived down beneath her, trying to reach out to catch her. His one knee pressed against the street as he caught her safely in his arms before hitting the ground. When Yin opened her eyes, she saw Subai standing straight beside her. She leaned against him, breathing hard after the near escape. He remained calm, holding his soul banner at his side. He proudly announced that he had reached the Golden Core stage, and that his perception ability had improved. He told that tentacle monster that he could sense an aura full of death, and that such a trick would not fool him. The giant monster's massive tentacles writhed in the air as its body shifted and pulsed. A thick mist spilled from its form while loud, heavy breaths echoed around the ruined street. Yin coughed weakly, her body trembling. She looked ashamed and murmured that she had been a fool. Subai held her close, glowing green energy flowing from his hands into her chest as he healed her. His gaze was calm and focused. He told her not to talk, and reminded her that she was lucky to still be alive. Even while wincing from the pain, she whispered to him not to worry about her and urged him to handle the monsters instead. Above them, the monster suddenly burst into laughter. Its enormous limbs moved apart, revealing a row of glowing eyes hidden beneath the folds of its flesh. Drool dripped from its sharp teeth as it taunted them, saying that it didn't matter if they had figured out its trick. The creature's mouth expanded into a giant circular maw full of spiraling teeth. It roared that today, Subai and his summons would become its meal. Subai tightened his hold on her and stepped back, preparing for the imminent strike. But before the monster could attack, the Bone Lord suddenly leaped forward with his massive sword raised. His eyes glowed fiercely as he shouted at the monster to stop its rampage. He declared that if anyone wanted to touch his lord, they would have to go through him first. In a burst of speed, he clashed with the monster's tentacles. His blade sliced through the air again and again, while the monster's limbs whipped toward him. The street shook from the impact. Bone Lord laughed boldly, saying this was simply how he fought. Above the battle, the giant red mosquito hovered with its wings buzzing rapidly. It boasted that speed and assassination were its specialties. As it prepared to attack, the huge monster with many tentacles stood in the ruined street as its long limbs twisted around its body. The red mosquito suddenly landed on the monster's shoulder, its wings beating fast under the red glow around them. The monster did not react at first. The mosquito lowered its needle-like mouth and jabbed it into the monster's flesh. Blood splashed out as the sharp needle broke the skin. The monster's tentacles moved wildly the moment it was pierced. It swung its arms and tentacles with great force, shaking the mosquito away. The mosquito flipped and fell through the air as the monster's limbs smashed around, filling the scene with violent motion. Then the monster looked down with a cold expression. Its sharp teeth curled into a grin. In a low, mocking voice, the monster called the mosquito a noisy thing and asked if it was even worthy of sucking its blood. Far above them, a figure rushed downward through a tall blue light. The shape of the man's body was clear as he dropped at full speed. He shouted "Monster!" as he fell like an arrow. It was Iron Fist, who shot down with his fist pulled back, his face full of determination. As he came close, he yelled for the monster to take his punch. His fist slammed into one of the monster's tentacles with explosive force, sending shockwaves in all directions. The impact created a loud burst of light and sound. But when he landed, Iron Fist's expression changed suddenly. His eyes widened, and sweat rolled down his face. He shouted that something was not good. The monster's body suddenly swelled and opened like a giant trap full of sharp spikes. Iron Fist fell straight toward it, and he looked shocked as he shouted that it was a trap. Before he could react, he dropped into the middle of the creature's expanding body. Then the monster closed around him, and he reappeared on top of its swollen back. The monster's tentacles wrapped and moved with terrifying speed. Iron Fist pushed himself up, but blood splattered around him. He yelled for his lord to run. He said this monster was stronger than a commander-level creature. Immediately, Bone Lord rushed forward, shouting for Iron Fist not to panic. He said he was coming to save him. Iron Fist warned Bone Lord to be careful. While he was going, suddenly one of the tentacles that Bone Lord had cut earlier attacked. Bone Lord was shocked to see that the tentacles could survive independently. The monster attacked the Bone Lord with huge force, sending shockwaves through the street. On the other hand, Yin slowly opened her eyes. Her green pupils looked weak, as if she was waking up after being unconscious for a long time. She found herself in the arms of Subai. He explained to her calmly that in a place filled with zombies, an old man had appeared to give advice, and anyone with basic common sense would know that such a thing was not normal at all. Yin lowered her eyes and nodded softly. She said she understood. Then she looked up again, her cheeks turning pink. She told him not to be so harsh with her. She reminded him that she was still just a girl. In the next moment he let go, and she slipped from his arms with a shout of surprise. She landed awkwardly, staring at him in shock. He looked down at her and replied bluntly, telling her that she did not act like a girl. She winced and warned him jokingly, saying that what he said was enough to get someone killed. She then sat on the ground in frustration, pouting with an angry expression. She muttered to herself, wishing that he, being such a straight-faced man, would remain single forever. Not far away, the massive tentacle monster towered over the destroyed city. Subai now stood facing it, holding his weapon. Yin sat behind him, watching as he prepared to confront the creature. Subai reached a calm state after forming his golden core. He realized something important. He understood that he still had not found his spirit sea. Because of that, he quietly admitted that he did not know what he was able to touch inside this inner space. He reached out his hand toward the strange glowing subspace in front of him. Light flickered, forming glitch-like colors around the surface as he got closer. As his hand neared it, he suddenly felt something change. His eyes widened slightly. The bright light washed over his face, and he gasped softly, realizing that something unexpected was happening. The next second, his hand gripped the handle of a weapon that began to reveal itself from the glowing surface. The blade slid out with a sharp motion, accompanied by bright symbols and a surge of spiritual energy. The weapon was large, heavy, and shaped like a deadly saw blade, with jagged edges and a core that glowed like a red gem. As soon as it fully appeared, it released a violent burst of power. Purple lightning wrapped around the blade and crackled through the air. Subai stood tall with one arm raised high, holding the blade as purple lightning exploded around him and stretched toward the sky. This blade in Subai's hand was the blade he used before entering the God realm. Wherever it moved, even gods would fall. The blade held a record. A single golden core realm cultivator once used it to kill a cultivator from the god wandering realm. That was why it earned its name, the Sawing God Blade. He looked at the weapon with calm familiarity. Lightning continued to dance around it as he tightened his grip. With a slight confident smile, he greeted the weapon like an old companion and said that it had been a long time since they last met. The giant octopus-like monster narrowed its glowing eyes, watching Subai from a distance. Its expression showed annoyance, and it muttered to itself that he was playing tricks. It whispered a question to itself, wondering what the God-wandering realm and the Golden Core realm even meant. But suddenly, its hesitation turned into rage. Its huge jaws opened wide, showing rows of sharp teeth glowing red, and it roared loudly, telling Subai to go and die. At the same moment, the creature's many tentacles swung forward, trying to crush him. Subai held his weapon tightly. Purple lightning crackled across the blade as he moved. His eyes were calm, and his body leaned forward as if he were ready to burst into action. In the next moment, his whole body shot upward, leaving behind streaks of purple energy. The monster raised its massive limbs to block, but Subai came down fast from the sky. Lightning wrapped around him like a storm. He swung the huge serrated blade with both hands. The monster's red eyes widened as it realized what was happening. It tried to react, but it was too late. The blade sliced downward in a long bright line of purple light. A thin vertical beam appeared from the sky to the ground, cutting straight through the creature. For a brief moment the monster froze completely still. Then its huge body split apart from top to bottom. Purple lightning flashed across the cut, and an explosive wave followed. A violent blast of yellow and orange flames erupted as the monster's body exploded. Pieces of limbs flew outward, swallowed by the huge explosion. Pieces of the monster's tentacles fell everywhere. An iron fist came out of the monster's stomach and crashed to the ground. He let out a pained groan as he struggled to get up, surrounded by broken flesh. Not far away, Yenjun watched the destruction with wide shining eyes. Behind her, Bone Lord and Birdman stood proudly. Birdman stared at the scene and asked if this was truly the Lord's strength. Yenjun looked amazed. She noted how the monster was defeated so quickly, and said that Subai was incredibly strong. Just then, a faint laugh echoed from the ground. Union and Bone Lord turned their heads toward the sound. The broken pieces of the monster twitched, and a faint voice murmured, "Awesome," from somewhere inside the pile. Suddenly, what remained of the monster began to move again. Tentacles shot upward, smashing against the ground and scattering rubble. A dark voice warned them not to think they'd won. From the dust, a new shape rose. What looked like part of the creature's body reformed itself, pulling together into a massive figure. The monster muttered the words, "My body," as it rebuilt. Dust swirled around its frame as it stood tall again. The next moment, its eyes glowed fiercely, its huge mouth stretched open, filled with sharp teeth. The voice grew louder, screaming that its body was invincible. The monster looked excited, and said in a dark tone that it could be invincible, and laughed. Subai stood in front of the creature. He looked calm, and asked the monster whoever said he wanted to kill it. He explained that he only acted to save Iron Fist. Iron Fist was struggling on the ground as Subai told him to get up. Iron Fist realized that his lord Subai had saved him on purpose. He clenched his fists and promised that he would not let the lord down. Subai stared at the monster and let out a short fun. He said that if he guessed correctly, someone would probably kill the creature. He said that with a dark mocking tone, the monster's red eyes narrowed as it listened, anger building up inside it. Then it suddenly shouted for Subai to become its food. It said loudly that it wanted to evolve. The monster floated above the ruined street, its eyes glowing red. It shouted that it wanted to become a disaster-level monster. Its long tentacles swung wildly in the air. Below, Subai, carrying Yun, immediately turned around. Holding her close, he pushed forward, running with her as fast as he could. Subai ran very fast, making Yun fly into the air as he dragged her with him. The monster roared behind them, telling them to stop running forward. It warned them that if they went any further, they would be doomed. But after a few more steps, Subai's feet suddenly stopped, and he stood firmly on the ground. He turned around, facing the monster. As he walked back hand in hand with Yun, he laughed and said that the one doomed should be the monster instead. Hearing that, the monster stopped there. The monster's eyes widened in shock. It stared forward, trembling as it asked Subai what this meant. The monster slowly turned its gaze and looked up. It saw a shadow on top of a building looking at him, surrounded by bright light. As the octopus-like monster lifted its head, its four glowing eyes widened in surprise. It watched as a tall shape emerged from inside the light. The figure's outline grew clearer. It was a giant mantis monster, its huge red eyes shining fiercely. The mantis opened its jaws and let out a sharp, violent screech. Its wings shook the air as it dropped toward the ground, smashing into the street with explosive force. Cracks burst across the floor beneath it as dust shot upward. The mantis monster jumped with lightning speed to attack the octopus monster. The mantis monster swung its long blade-like arms, slashing at the octopus creature. Its movements were fast and furious. The octopus monster recoiled, raising several tentacles to block the sudden attack. But the mantis kept pressing forward, its sharp limbs cutting through the octopus monster's tentacles again and again. The octopus monster stepped back and shouted angrily. It told the mantis monster to leave, saying its food had escaped because of him. But the mantis didn't back down. Instead, it laughed coldly and said it was ridiculous for the octopus monster to tell him to leave his own territory. The two giant monsters glared at each other under the red-tinted sky. One stood on its long insect legs, blades raised. The other crouched low behind its many tentacles, its white eyes burning brighter with rage. A fierce fight between monsters was about to begin. The octopus monster floated above the ruined street, its tentacles hanging in the air. Its glowing red eyes looked down as it spoke, saying that it did not want to be the mantis monster's enemy. But it had just drunk the blood of hundreds of humans. Below, the large mantis monster stood on a broken rooftop, staring up at the octopus. But seeing that the mantis was still not backing down, the octopus suddenly swung its huge tentacles and rushed forward. It shouted loudly that it was not afraid. Hiding between two buildings, Subai and Yunhyun stood together, looking up as the giant tentacles crashed down in front of them. The street around them shook from the impact. Yunhyun held her weapon tightly and asked Subai what that giant mantis was. Subai looked serious and told her it was the boss of this area. Subai then explained that earlier, the octopus monster had transformed into an old man to stop them from moving forward. This meant something ahead was scaring the octopus. Because of that, he decided to keep going forward. He smiled slightly and told her that this was why he said that someone was going to kill the octopus monster. Yunhyun beside him was amazed to hear that. Meanwhile, the octopus monster wrapped its tentacles tightly around the mantis's sharp claws, trying to stop it. Dark blood splashed everywhere as the tentacles shook in pain. The mantis was using his full power to reach the octopus monster's head to kill it with his sharp claws, as the octopus monster also used its full power to stop the mantis monster. The octopus monster trembled and shouted to the mantis, telling it to listen. It said they should find Subai and kill him first. The mantis leaned forward with its sharp jaws open wide. It screamed back that it would listen, and then rushed in with wild speed. The mantis swung its long blades again and again, cutting the octopus monster's tentacles from every direction, shouting that he would eat the octopus monster first. The blades sliced through the limbs, and the octopus monster cried out. Then one tentacle burst apart with a loud sound. A puff of black matter exploded from the wound. The mantis stared as the tentacle ripped open, falling on the mantis's face. The mantis monster coughed hard as thick smoke and poison surrounded him. The giant octopus monster's tentacles moved on the ground, and the air around them smelled terrible. The mantis complained that it was too stinky. The mantis looked angry. Its eyes glowed red as it glared at the octopus. It muttered that the damage to its core was serious, and warned the octopus that it was going to die soon. But the octopus monster only laughed. Its many red eyes lit up as poison dripped from its mouth. It told the mantis that his whole body was filled with poison now, and said he shouldn't even think about surviving. Then footsteps echoed as Subai walked out of the dark passage. He carried his sword in one hand, and the soul banner with red threads in the other. Pieces of flesh and poison mist lay scattered around him. He looked at the two monsters and said they seemed very comfortable fighting each other. Subai stepped forward with a calm face, and said it was now his turn to finish them off. The octopus monster glared at the mantis again, blaming it for everything. It shouted that because of the mantis, someone else would take the final reward. The mantis only coughed again, struggling to breathe as the poison burned inside him. Then the octopus monster suddenly pulled its tentacles back and shouted that it would not play anymore. It told the others goodbye as it turned to run away. When Subai watched it fleeing through the air, he said that running would not be that easy, and the next moment the birdman swooped down with terrifying speed as Subai held onto it with one hand. Subai pointed toward the octopus and called out to Birdman. Birdman announced his master Subai's arrival as he flew toward the octopus monster. Subai raised his sword high as lightning surged inside it. He prepared to attack the octopus monster again. Seeing that, the octopus monster warned Subai not to waste time, saying it was immune to spiritual attacks. But Subai raised his weapon, and purple lightning wrapped around the blade. A blast of blue energy erupted as he swung. His attack cut through the octopus monster's body, gathering bright flames and energy around the weapon. As Subai cut down the octopus monster, he also took out the octopus monster's soul from its body with his sword. Subai stabbed the octopus monster's soul as his sword struck downward with full force. The attack rushed straight into the octopus monster's soul, and the monster's body exploded with a huge explosion of light. The octopus monster's body turned into a glowing blue soul form. It looked at itself in shock and shouted that its body was destroyed. Subai stood in front of it with his weapon. He calmly explained that after reaching the soul realm, a soul could float outside the body. He said that cultivators were not afraid of outside injuries. Subai then smiled and said this was the reason the Soul God blade was invincible. He explained that the blade's teeth could pull out a soul. Hearing that, the octopus monster screamed in disbelief, saying it was impossible. Its glowing soul form twisted wildly as its soul was being dragged out. Subai extended his soul banner and activated it, telling the octopus monster that it was full of energy before, but pulling its soul out had a cost. Now it was at the end of its strength. Then with full power, Subai raised his soul banner high into the sky as its red ribbon flew wildly. Subai shouted for the soul of the octopus monster to come to his banner. The monster screamed loudly, begging and crying as its soul was sucked toward the soul banner. That's all for today, everyone. Before we wrap up, I want to let you know that we've recently launched a membership program here, where you can enjoy perks like early access to videos and soon, exclusive content just for members. You'll also receive custom badges and emojis to enhance your interactions. If you're interested, consider joining our membership to enjoy these benefits. Check out the link in the description to join. See you all in the next video.